Good morning, everybody. Welcome in on a Tuesday day here for you. As we are in the middle of March Madness, I believe that I have completely lost waking up this morning. What's the first thing
Already?
both of you guys did this morning when you woke up? First thing. Don't even hesitate. First
First
thing.
thing I did was,
Don't say get out of bed.
well, no,
That's a given.
first thing I did would be go to bed.
Okay.
I celebrated that I got every last damn minute until the alarm went off. I woke up 1 minute before the alarm went off. I was like, not even planned.
See, you guys are a little bit still young with this schedule, so my body clock is like completely destroyed for doing mornings for this long. But I don't set the alarm anymore. Like I was
Oh, I
up
get that.
9 minutes before I woke up, and I looked, and I was like, and I kinda tried to gauge what time it was, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay." So you guys did all of that. I think this is where March Madness has affected me. The first thing I did, as you know, they tell you to help your sleep, you're not supposed to have your phone in bed,
Yeah.
but I
That'll
do.
distract you.
I do. Someday I'll learn. As I immediately looked up and introduced myself to a gentleman by the name of John Templeton. And you guys probably have never heard that name before.
No.
Most people have no idea who this person is. Heck, I don't even know who this person is. I've never met him. I've never talked to him. He is a bracketologist for the NIT.
Okay.
So
Okay. Good guy to know, though.
You have our mockers and you have our bracketologists. But then what level is somebody that does a bracketology for the NIT? So this guy does it, and he's been doing it for a while. So that's the first thing I checked this morning.
Mhm.
And then I think I probably should have checked my life and thought, what am I doing that at 4 o'clock this morning, I'm looking to see what projections are on the NIT after a night where I sat and watched basketball and saw teams like Hofstra and Youngstown State, who would be, I don't know, number one seeds in their conference tournament, respectively, get knocked out. And I'm trying to figure out in my head, who are NIT bid stealers? And so I'm looking at John's old updated bracket. I didn't go to Lenardi. I didn't go to Tim Kruger. I didn't go to Shelby Mass to see what last night did to their brackets. I went to the NIT bracket. And lo and behold, he's got Nebraska as a 4 seed hosting Villanova.
There you go. Whoa.
Who is this guy?
There's a lot to unpack there.
So this guy is deep into his metrics on trying to figure out the field of 32 for the NIT. But there were some bid stealers last night that were regular season champions that are guaranteed a berth in the NIT if they don't get the NCAA auto spot that lost their 4 or 5. But in this guy's bracketology for the NIT, he's still got Nebraska in it as a number 4 seed playing host to Villanova. And by the way he played it out is if Nebraska would win. And by the way, this is a big if. They got to win on Wednesday night against Minnesota in a tournament that Fred Hoiberg has never won, and he's 0-3. Is they could play San Jose State in the next round. But he not only has Nebraska as a 4 seed, he has them hosting.
His Twitter handle is NY Buckets. That's even better.
I gotta reach out to this guy because I'm wondering if he's upset because they've taken the NIT out of New York City.
Yeah, I mean, when your handle is NY Buckets, there's obviously there's a connection there to MSG. Then I was looking at is it the Barking Crow?
No, I don't go to the Barking Crow.
Yeah, the Barking Crow doesn't. They have no Nebraska representation.
For people that are familiar with NIT bracketologists, who is more accurate, the John fella, or what'd you say, the Barking Crow?
The Barking Crow. Yeah, the Barking Crow.
Are they any relation to the Counting Crows?
That's what I thought. I'm trying to. I need to do maybe a commercial break to do a deeper dive on this.
Isn't the lead singer of the Counting Crows a huge Cal Berkeley fan?
Well, he loved Omaha too. There. I don't know, but I'll entertain John Templin's or at Y Buckets. Because hey, that's the result we want. That's exactly what we want to see. NIT bracketology, like I wonder. See, this wasn't the first. I get the feeling this wasn't the first time you have checked in on John Templin.
Well, I saw somebody tweeted yesterday that he was talking about the NIT bracket. Now here's the simple math. I will stick to this. Again, Nebraska's gotta win tomorrow night against Minnesota.
Mhm.
First of all, this is glorious. This is so epic sports talk radio right now on March 7th. We're
What
talking about
NIT
NIT. Either this is like a great sports talk topic at 6:12, or this is where Nebraska basketball is.
You got to start somewhere.
So, again,
We've hit rock bottom.
Nebraska has to, no. They won 6 of 8, and 5 of those wins are going to be over teams that could be in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, no, I'm talking
I
about
don't-
morning content.
Rock
right now.
bottom. Go to your Rock Bottom Brewery. This ain't a Rock Bottom basketball program, my friend. So you got to win tomorrow night. And again, Fred Hoiberg has never won in the Big Ten tournament. And
Mhm.
there's stuff about the interior that Minnesota could worry you. And Nebraska did go 1-1 against Minnesota, so points and Payne will be important. Payne and Battle and Garcia, and who has one foot out the door in Minnesota. All of that. We'll get into that tomorrow when we preview the game. I still contend that Nebraska basketball wins one game. They're in the NIT. Just one game. They would, if they won tomorrow night, they'd play Maryland. So they'd have 17 wins. And I think that gets them into the NIT.
Yep.
I don't know that that ensures them a home game. And the formula for like the NIT is all over the place. You have to be 500. Do you not have to be 500? Do they rely on money? They do take the money and they disperse it among the 32 teams that are in the NIT. How important that is to having a big gate, storylines, having a committee. What is the net? Which the net is getting run through the ringer like it usually does this week leading up to Selection Sunday. It was supposed to be a sorting tool. Now all of a sudden, in the last 2 weeks, it's like the end all be all.
Yeah.
That the net is the thing. And in the net, Nebraska doesn't show up very well, but keep an eye on the KPI because I've looked deeper into the NIT and they like the KPI. But here's the simple math for me, for Nebraska in playing next week, which if they do play in the NIT, they could be playing next Monday or Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Like a week from tonight, Nebraska basketball could be playing in the postseason, but they got to win tomorrow night. I know winning is hard. So they win tomorrow night, and then you guys just want to get giddy?
Well, yeah.
Do you want me to warm your cockles right out of bed in the morning?
Okay. Yeah.
If they win twice, so they would beat Maryland on Thursday, then that not only you're in the NIT, but probably you've assured yourself of a home game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you just want to go crazy because it is March Madness and things are so unpredictable, and if things were predictable, we wouldn't care about March Madness. If you won 3 games, which then would be Indiana, then you would be on the bubble for the NCAA tournament playing on Saturday in Chicago, and you would see a huge swarm of cars from the state of Nebraska driving across Iowa, honking as you went by Iowa City and said, money, make it rain, Gary Barta. And you would drive into Chicago and watch the Big Ten tournament.
Yep.
So that's easy, right? Nebraska's got the hot hand. They've won 6 of 8, playing a lot better. Man, come on, Hoiberg. I just laid it out for you. We'll see you on Saturday. Now, if they do make it Saturday, I got 3 seats in my car. I'm driving to Chicago. Anybody wants to go? We'll scalp some tickets. We'll go. If they're playing on Saturday, I'm in Chicago. I got 3 seats in my car.
Hey, I have family we can stay with.
Well, you got an obligation this week. You got to stay back.
Well,
you
I
got
got
a bigger deal going on.
I got hockey. I
have
a feeling that'll be a 3-day affair. But
so Saturday, if Nebraska's playing, I'm in Chicago, and I'll take 3 people with me. But that's the math. That's pretty easy, right? So we don't have to pay. So hopefully Saturday I have to pay no attention to John Templeton. He's probably a very nice guy.
Sure he is.
But I wonder what he actually does for a living that at some point in your life you go, you know what? Nobody sees the NIT bracketology. So let me step up and fill a void in America's conscience.
Well, let's boil down the programs that and the fan bases that could really embrace NIT bracketology, whether we're talking about John Templin or the Barking Crow. And
what makes the difference? Give me a little background on the Barking Crow. Seems to be you have a fascination with the Barking Crow.
The Barking Crow just was the first thing that popped up when I was looking at NIT bracketology. They have they don't just do NIT, by the way.
So
they also have
NCAA?
They also have an NCAA tournament bracketology.
Is there a CBI or a CIT?
It looks like it ends with the invites. Yeah.
You know an area that is really underserved is the women's side. Like Charlie Cream, who does for ESPN, he's the only women's bracketologist that I see referenced.
Yeah, I've never seen any other one. But yes, the Barking Crow If that does not grab your attention right there,
Be
between
a
that,
great name for a bar.
the Barking
Yeah.
Crow would be.
That'd be
Actually,
a great
yeah,
name for a bar in Baltimore.
the Barking. Oh yeah,
And you'd have
You got
like
the
a
bird
drink
right
called
there.
the Edgar Allan Poe.
Or geez, can you imagine the shot if you have the Raven? Oh, that would
Served by Ray Lewis.
be. That could be scary for more reasons than one. Just think about the fan bases that are maybe tuned in because the NIT is what they get excited about, because you're a program that doesn't have a standard of the NCAA tournament, even in a 3 out of 5 year span, that the NIT is where you, and I don't think there's a lot. Okay. I'm being honest here. I don't think there's probably more than maybe 10% of college basketball fans that would actually even really get into that, a month in advance. I don't know when John Templin or when the Barking Crow starts putting out their NIT bracketology, but I would say is the following of such thing. Here we are, because you're right. I mean, this is progress for Nebraska basketball in the Fred Hoiberg era of seeing them and potentially the NIT. So you kind of want to see where you stand. How many other programs, I guess that's the question, of where you would start to, with all of the different bracketology models out there, no matter who you listen to, no matter who you pay attention to at this time, how many people are tapping into the NIT bracketology? How many fan bases are not only tapping into the NIT bracketology, but they're excited? They're like, hey, by the way, did you see what John Temlin's got us? Well, I didn't see. Did he just drop one today? Yeah, he just dropped one today. And then I saw the Barking Crow is kind of similar. We might be heading to the NIT, and I like our draw. Our draw is pretty good.
Because you don't want to mention it out loud.
Nope. That's exactly right. That is exactly right.
Nebraska is plus 30,000 to win the Big Ten tournament. Seems reasonable.
It's value.
You have to win 5 games in 5 days.
It's value.
But as of right
Pays
now,
well.
even with some bid stealers last night, Nebraska is still an NIT bracket. We'll entertain and engage this a little bit more on Thursday morning if Nebraska beats Minnesota, and they're getting ready to play Maryland.
But the beauty of this, unlike last year, going into that Northwestern game, they were playing good basketball going into that Northwestern game. There's actually postseason implications. Like, there's actually, gosh, please win. The reason I was really bummed, other than the obvious of Nebraska, faltering in the second half against Northwestern, was I was hoping that I would have on my previous stop an abbreviated show. I'm like, oh, cool, day off. Good day off. I'm like, damn it, I got to work all day. This sucks. Now it's like, hey, they win because I'm with you. I think they're in. I think they're in the NIT. So you're watching that game tomorrow night. It's Nebraska, Minnesota. It's a Wednesday playing game. It's going to be a sleepy crowd at the UC.
That's being optimistic.
Yeah. Because it's the late game, too. It's outside. And I guarantee you there's not a Minnesota. All the University of Minnesota fans.
Friends and family.
They're either into spring football and rowing the boat, or they're excited about their hockey squad. They could care less. They may not even know what time the Gophers play tomorrow night.
Yeah, by the way,
but we do.
Hockey can win the national championship.
Yeah, they're really good.
Minnesota or Denver win the national championship in hockey.
Don't rule out RIT or Quinnipiac. But anywho, we're all engaged tomorrow night as much as you can be in a play-in game, because it most likely puts Nebraska on the good side of the NIT. And that's progress.
Are people more excited around here for potential postseason Nebraska basketball or spring football, which begins 1 week from Monday?
Oh, I don't know. Matt Rule got it. Got the juices going yesterday. Thomas Fedoni. That's a good question. I think in the present, I would lean towards Husker basketball. Because, quite frankly, this is the first time. Look, the NIT is nothing to completely roll your eyes about.
Well, because the season was essentially over 6 weeks ago.
It was. So
we're talking about new coaches.
I would say, at least in the present moment, knowing that spring ball is still after, spring break's next week. So then you got spring ball. Yeah, I would say people are fully engaged on this thing, and you should be. It's fun. It's fun to follow this team right now.
That's what it is. Fun.
We like fun.
Fun in a year when Nebraska's gone on the road and won 3 games as a double-figure underdog.
Yeah.
In Omaha, New Jersey, and Iowa City. Wow.
I mean, I was told the season was over a week ago, so this is great.
Yeah, I mean, people on this radio station, not me, told you guys that the season was over. I don't know. I didn't listen to them yesterday. I wonder if they recounted. I don't care. Nebraska's playing tomorrow night, so they got the game still on the schedule. As you can see, I'm being a little bit. I mean, I just people. The season ended after Michigan State. I don't know. My pocket schedule said one more game, and Nebraska won.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll take them to the NIT game, or they'll be the ones that are in the car with me going to Chicago.
There you go.
On Saturday. All right, welcome.
They got to buy
everybody.
gas then.
Yeah. See, I'm going to be very edgy today about that. I'm just going to be very, very edgy about that. Welcome in, everybody, on a Tuesday. It is Mornings with Sharp and Handley and Gary. There's Nick and Jimmy. Great lineup today. Fantastic lineup. Coming up
good
at the top of the 7 o'clock hour, Doug Woodard, head coach of Bellevue West. The unbeaten T-Birds, another quest for a state championship. They begin tomorrow at 1:30 in Lincoln against Lincoln North Star. Doug will join us coming up at 7. Sam McEwen stops by at 7:30. BC at 9. And then D-Rock, Darren DeVries. Drake is back in the NCAA tournament with an auto bid. They won the Missouri Valley Conference the first time since 2008. He'll join us coming up at 9:30 as they sit this week and try and figure out where they are going to go and what seed they will be. Seen a lot where they are a 10 or 11, more of an 11. And I'm sure that there will be some that go with the storyline of Creighton and Drake playing each other. I just don't see that. I'm seeing a lot of, I think Creighton has settled into a 6. I'm seeing a lot of opposite Gonzaga on the other side. And one side I looked at this morning, along with my NIT bracketologist friends.
Once you put the coffee down for that.
Only one place still has them going to Des Moines. But I've seen them in Albany, Sacramento, Orlando.
That's everywhere.
Orlando would be a good place to go. I don't know that Albany would be fun to go in the middle of March.
No.
But Orlando wouldn't be bad. I'm gonna take Orlando. Sacramento's not bad. The arena up there is beautiful. So D-Rock's coming up at 9:30. Also learned something yesterday as I got to this morning, got to meet my new friend John. I feel like I now should reach out to him.
Yeah.
I want the backstory of how, at what point in your life do you decide that's an area that is void in this college basketball world? I'm going to break down the NIT brackets.
I'm going to corner the market.
So here's the thing, and with Thomas Fedoni yesterday. And Thomas Fedoni, I think that is his first official interview since he's been at Nebraska.
Yeah.
I've interviewed him a couple of times. And that's who he is. He is an extremely confident individual. He is a very curious individual, which sometimes can be good and bad. But he is somebody that always kind of has an edge. If you've followed him on social media, people that, have reached out to him about not playing, being injured, or possibly leaving, and he'll respond with some kind of video or a picture of him working out. And it's essentially, I'm not going anywhere. And a credit to him, loved his position coach, Sean Beckton. Transition, I've been injured. What am I going to do? He has stuck around. And as evidence yesterday, he has turned into one of the top performers during winter conditioning. But he is really, really confident. And I don't think people have heard him before, but that's who I know as Thomas Fedoni. When he says, I want to be a first-round pick, I want to be the top tight end, he truly believes that and is going to find a way to at least get there as long as he's healthy. So some people are like, whoa, that guy is really, really – that's who he's always been. I remember we interviewed him when he was at Council Bluffs Lewis Central. And after he was done on the air with us, I was like, whoa. I mean, that's a 17-year-old kid that is pretty confident in his ability. That's why he's the number one tight end. But the other thing I learned yesterday, he's got a very distinctive look. He's in great shape, fantastic shape. That knee must be great. If what Rule was describing he's doing, that knee must be 100%, which is great for Nebraska and even better for him going into spring ball. But his look. So people said the man bun.
Yeah.
Do you know that that's not what it's called this day?
What is it called these days?
It is called, I wrote this down, a top knot.
A top knot. I
did not know that.
I like that better than a man bun.
It has gone from the man bun to the top knot. That's how it is described.
Okay. I need to transition into that because it's man bun. It's been thrown out there so many times, easy to use. Top knot. Now that's kind of fun. Yeah. Okay. I think it has a more stronger appeal than man bun. Okay. It's just becoming a lot more. It's more common now too. So
the man bun.
The YMCA I go to is at Omaha Westview, and sometimes intersect with students either coming into the building or leaving the building as I'm either going in or out. I would say on average of 10 boys that either go in or out of the high school, I would say about 3, maybe even 4, maybe 40% have the top knot. It's really popular. Now, I believe when I was growing up, we'd probably get razzed a bit for that.
Yeah, so when we were growing up, it was a ponytail.
Yeah. Yeah. You never had it up top. It was always, in the back. So, yeah, we never did that.
Now, for us that are follically challenged, we've never been able to do that.
No.
So we've gone from the ponytail to the man bun to whatever. I think Aaron Rodgers might be like in between.
Yeah.
To now it is the top knot.
Yeah. Well, the Aaron Rodgers looks more of like a samurai look because you still kind of have the hair hanging down off the side, but then there's a good majority of it pulled back. Looks like a samurai. Something you'd see in the kung fu movies.
Dhoni's a big dude.
Yeah, he
What
is.
does he say? He's between 250 and 255. Nebraska's going to have some monster tight ends if Eric Gilbert is. I can't imagine. I heard he was 280. There's no way he's going to play at 280. Nebraska's going to have some monster tight ends.
It's like
and that
Kelsey
offense
line.
where they're asking him to block and also catch passes. But 250 to 255 on Fedoni's frame. Hello. I mean, if he can continue to make progress and do it on the field, and we're not talking about off the field in the rehab room, well, he could be scary. He could be what you thought he was going to be when Nebraska got him. He's the same person he's always been. Just yesterday was the first day that people got to listen to him and went, dang, that guy's not cocky. He's just really, really confident.
Well, I don't want to say he went into Lincoln feeling like he didn't have anything to prove given what his accolades were at the prep level. But we've seen this before. When you're a 5-star, 4-star, heck, even a 3-star, that's talked about a lot, especially if you're coming from the area and you're going to that school. We've seen this in all sports where sometimes there's just sort of a different world of the work that it takes to be how you got recruited to the work it takes to kind of ascend at that level. And Thomas Fedoni didn't have a chance to really show much of that because he gets injured right away. And I just, based on what I was hearing him talk about yesterday, not only a highly confident, but a highly motivated individual. And I'm not saying he wasn't when he was coming into Lincoln, but I think you bring up maybe some people wondering, is he going to stick around? Where is he going to be on the depth chart? Thomas Fedoni seems like he's probably keeping tabs of that he's got that motivation, maybe even a little extra than what he already had, because he talked about at some point yesterday, he mentioned, a big setback can lead to, a major comeback. And he just seems like somebody who is out to prove that not only is the injuries, the health part of it where it should be, but he's ready to kind of show everybody, remind everybody why he was recruited that way. I don't know him well enough to say, can he make good on the promise? All I know is he was a hell of a high school football player. I'm looking at him just like everybody else is yesterday. The dude looks like a fully grown man. What is that?
He looks like what a tight end should look like.
He does. Yeah. And what does that mean? The Satterfield offense, I know, and he was making reference to how they use the tight ends and the different, versatile tight ends that Marcus Satterfield used even at South Carolina. All I know is this just seems like a dude who is out to prove something. And I'd rather have guys like that than, really good athletes that get into their situation and become complacent. He seems like he is not only embracing what he had to go through with the 2 knee injuries, but what is in front of them. And that should be exciting for that position group, but I think for a lot of Nebraska fans that were extremely excited 2 years ago when he made the announcement to come to Nebraska.
Some good nuggets yesterday out of Matt Rule's media availability with Thomas Fedoni and Chief Borders. I think that's going to be a regular. There's a lot of transparency in the program, and I think we're going to see that moving forward with the direction of Matt Rule. They always explain the why. They do things and they explain the why. That hasn't happened a lot around here when it comes to the relationship between Nebraska football and the media. We'll get into some of the other things that Matt Rule said yesterday, and also dive into the line that he used: before we can teach, we have to learn, and how important practice is. I don't even think I heard Tom Osborne talk about the importance of practice like Matt Rule did yesterday. And also one final thing on Fedoni. We're going to have to walk through. It's a weird, and he may have misspoke of who coaches were hollering at.
Right.
But his description of last year and coaches hollering about his inavailability, there were some things that were not adding up. I think he misspoke on coaches weren't hollering at him, but hollering about the situation that he was not medically cleared to play, but could practice, because that was a weird scenario. And I don't know if everybody was comfortable with him revealing that, but are we surprised that there was disconnect between on field and upstairs?
No, and there was. I'm glad that there was some follow up when he did bring that up of like, well, who was it, trainer or coaches? And his response to that was also kind of interesting, because he said, "Well, coach," he goes, "I don't really know what they're doing right now." So that would, to me, I'm like,
Yeah, I think he first said he implied that they were hollering at him, which I think he just misspoke. It sounded to me more like the coaches on last year's staff were upset at the doctors for not clearing him, and they let it be known during practice.
Especially, because when he was talking about working against the scout team and that he was doing a lot of good things, and the coaches, the way he described it at that point, seemed like they were just frustrated that he couldn't be on the field because he was doing such good things in those moments in practice too. I think that's important to at least draw from that he wasn't necessarily calling. It wasn't like saying Scott Frost was trying to put him in harm's way, but that there was obviously between coaching staff and maybe medical personnel some disconnect there.
I mean, it would have made sense. They weren't the only Nebraska coaches that were upset at medical doctors last year as well. That guy was on the other side of Memorial Stadium. All right, 6:34, great lineup. Coming up at 7 o'clock, Doug Woodard, head basketball coach at Bellevue West. The T-Birds, unbeaten. There are very few teams that have gone through the regular season unbeaten in Class A. Bellevue West has done that. They need 3 more to hoist a championship. Coach Woodard will join us coming up at 7. Sam McEwen, Brian Christopherson, and Darren DeVries. Yes, Darren DeVries coming up at 9:30. All part of the lineup brought to you by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. Off and running. Glad to have you in on a Tuesday morning with Nick, Jimmy, and Gary on 1620 The Zone.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
The Big Ten and McDonald's, ubiquitous, darn near everybody accepts, if not likes them. They provide a consistent, above-average quality for the product they sell. They're a great default when you just need something to consume or get a craving, but they'll never win any award.
Not bad. That's a pretty solid comparison. What's Nebraska then?
What would Nebraska be in the McDonald's?
Ice cream machine.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Another cloudy and cool day ahead for Tuesday. Breezy at times with east winds gusting 10 to 20 miles per hour. Highs in the low to mid 40s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a little bit of slowdown from 192nd to 175th along Center. Then on Highway 370, be prepared for a very minor delay from Richland Drive all the way to 84th. And on Dodge, it looks like things are slowing down just a little bit from 80th to 72nd. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Love Languages. Presented by Fernando's. 5. Physical touch.
Let me hold you like a taco.
Come and feel the love at Fernando's, 75th and Pacific, 114th and Dodge, and FernandosOmaha.com.
Duck Defense Midwest makes your home healthier and improves the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com for a special duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. That's cleanairradio.com.
MD West 1 and the Ortho and Spine Urgent Care are now open on the southwest corner of 192nd and Dodge. MD West 1 is voted the #1 private medical practice in Omaha for orthopedics, neurosurgery, and spine. MD West 1's new location in Fountain Ridge includes the Ortho and Spine Urgent Care, where walk-ins are welcome. See the specialists directly for any bone, joint, or muscle injury or condition. Go to mdwest1.com for details.
Omaha Maverick baseball and softball seasons are underway. Don't miss a pitch or a run scored. Single game tickets are available now. Come out and support your Mavs. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or by going to omavs.com/tickets.
Breaking news.
Tax refund shock is everywhere, but what is it?
My tax refund shrank.
Mine too.
The culprit? Pandemic-related stimulus payments and tax credits expiring. In this reporter's opinion, you need a tax expert.
Hey guys, Jackson Hewitt guarantees your biggest refund.
And tax prep is 50% off? Going there now.
50% off is a limited time offer for new clients filing at participating locations. Max value $200. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
You watch a lot of basketball. You see arenas from all over the country. Neutral sites. Some conferences play their conference championship games on on-campus sites, which could be kind of cool. Unique venue, home court advantage. You're rewarded for being the top seed, and then you are watching a lot of games. CBS Sports Network, which I'm always hard on because I don't like when they do Big East games, and they have a tendency to do a lot of remote broadcasts. Which,
still,
come on, we're 3 years post-COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
Is when they do the mid-major, like the CAA, they do a really good job. I don't think they do a good job with the Big East, like compared to Fox. But like the mid-major tournaments, I think CBS Sports Network does a really good job. And of course, they have their pregame and their halftime and their postgame shows. So watched a lot of that last night, along with the stuff going on in Sioux Falls in the Summer League. How large is Jersey Mike's marketing budget right now?
They're everywhere.
Jersey Mike's with Danny DeVito is like every other commercial break on TV right now. And if you look across the country at these conference tournaments, it seems like Jersey Mike's is on the floor or somewhere advertising on that conference tournament.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I think that's That's a fair observation.
Even when you're not watching sports, every other commercial is a Jersey Mike's commercial.
Are they trying to run Subway out?
I think they're trying to muscle them out. Well, compared to how many Jersey Mike's commercials do you see compared to Subway these days? And Subway's got a lineup. They got Steph.
An expensive lineup.
They used to have Russ.
Yeah, it probably didn't help. Last night, I was flipping through the channels, and it was a marathon of Jared from Subway. Yeah, was it on Paramount?
What?
I was flipping through the guide, and it was like 4 hours back to back to back of the Jared documentary.
There's
sponsored by Jersey Mike's.
No, I know. And
there's a documentary about it.
Oh,
yeah,
there should be.
I did not know. Well, I mean, yeah, but I did not know that. I kind of forgot about him.
Guy lost weight and gained a bunch of friends. People stopped going to Subway after that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What he was,
but Subway is not as prevalent as it used to be.
No,
I mean, they still pump in the smells when you go to the Nebraska Furniture Mart.
Oh yeah, there. And if you ever go to a Walmart, you always have that smell.
Walmart on 72nd, that's pretty prevalent along with other things there. But that's Subway in the front.
We were on the 168th and Maple one not too long ago, and I remember you said NFM. That's my wife's like, that smells like NFM. Like, you know why? There's a Subway right there.
Yeah, they're in cahoots.
They got a great location at Nebraska Furniture Mart. They're right there at the entrance when you go to the electronics. But yeah,
next to the bar now.
They've got the smells are pumped throughout Nebraska Furniture Mart. So good on them. But Jersey Mike's again is everywhere, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't have anything against either one of them. I don't go to a lot of sandwich shops. If I do, I'm going like a local sandwich shop. There aren't a lot of Jersey Mike's locations.
There's one near me, but no, I don't know. Of any
yeah,
others.
they're not. I mean, there's way more Subways. At least as last time I've checked, I bet Subway's got like a 3-to-1 ratio over.
I'd say
Jersey
3
Mike's.
or 4-to-1.
Yeah,
but Jersey Mike's is everywhere. I mean, their marketing budget is enormous in the last probably quarter or so.
Well,
because you watch, and you're going to watch basketball tonight, and you're going to see Jersey Mike's. And you go, Gary was right. Hello. I mean, they're on the floor. They're like the sponsor of tournaments.
Yeah,
I'm going to want to watch Twins, the second Batman.
I mean,
those are really good commercials that DeVito is doing.
You think about Danny DeVito. I'm sure he's not cheap. Sure, he's not doing it just for some.
Yeah,
free Subway for life. He's not getting free Jersey Mike's for life.
Sunny in Philadelphia isn't on anymore, right?
I don't think so.
No.
It was on for a long time.
That was a great show. It was the last. I don't think I saw maybe the last couple seasons, but anytime I sat down and watched it, I was got to laugh. But yeah, I mean, even the Rack is now Jersey Mike's arena, which is kind of sad because
it'll always be the Rack.
You need to ask Pavelka
if
it smells like Jersey Mike's.
Yeah, do they pump in the smells? Do they? I hope they have like.
They were the reason that the scoreboard caught on fire the other night.
That really did happen. You think you've been in there, right? The Rack. I'm trying to imagine if they could have sort of a built-in Jersey Mike's there. Not even just like a concession stand.
Peculiar arena.
Oh yeah, it's very.
Their basketball arena and football stadium are. Well, the football stadium is the home of the Cheez-Its commercials.
Yes.
Is it?
All the Cheez-Its commercials
I didn't know
are filmed
that.
at that stadium in the
Really?
summer. And it's just kind of a bland stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, now that Nebraska and Rutgers seem to be playing every year, that stadium is like super bland. And the basketball arena is it's kind of like when they were not in the Big Ten or they took basketball seriously, it was a very small arena.
Yeah.
And they just started adding to it.
But there's only so much you can add to that building.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like an arena.
No. It was, I walked in and I honestly thought, without being familiar with the landscape of Rutgers athletic facilities, I was doing a baseball broadcast. I went in there, try to locate somebody, and I thought, it's Rutgers athletic. This is just like kind of the rec center. They got like a really big gym. And then I opened one door and saw, this is where they play basketball. This is very underwhelming.
It'd be underwhelming if they don't win against Michigan. That's for sure. Iowa JD. How you doing, taxpayers of Iowa? Hey, you got time to move over to Nebraska. We do have Republicans here as well, like over in Iowa that voted 2-1 to go ahead with the payment. Iowa JD says Firehouse Subs much better than Jersey Mike's. You know what? I think that's going to draw a like for me.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
I am
6:45. I'm hungry.
I'm not opposed to that. It's just the one that's closest to me is a little difficult to get into, so it's not at the top of mind.
Yeah,
we can't get in and out of there quickly.
We would frequent that a lot when we moved into the neighborhood because there was one right by there. The Hook and Ladder, highly recommend. That's a good call by Iowa JD because I've been to Jersey Mike's and they've got some good stuff. But yeah, if I was presented the choice, I probably would lean with Firehouse.
Well, Jersey Mike's is everywhere.
Can you screw up a sandwich though? Like
Yes.
can you?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you burn coffee? Yes. Can you screw up a sandwich? Yes. Can they happen at the same time? Yes.
I've never gone to a sandwich place where I'm like, oh, that was awful.
Well, now you've jinxed it.
But I don't know if I'm going to be really reaching beyond the ones that I already know because
they can still screw that up.
I feel like I got a sandwich place at it. Well, yeah, sure. I mean, every now and then you might have like hot lettuce or something. Like, okay, no. But yeah, I just don't know if I feel like it's very challenging to screw up like a basic sandwich, a sandwich that you would probably be into. Like, I don't know if you guys are turkey or ham or, maybe like the Italian route, whatever. How do you really screw that up?
I mean, it's like having 1st and goal at the 1 in the Super Bowl and you have Marshawn Lynch and somehow you don't win the game. You can screw anything up.
Is it the bread? Is it all about the bread?
We can have too much bread.
Yeah, that's true. Too much bread, not enough meat.
The bread can overwhelm the meat.
I would agree with that.
Not enough meat.
That's what I've been told.
Okay. That's fair.
Doug Woodard, head basketball coach at Bellevue West, coming up at the top of the hour on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis. Free golf workshops coming up throughout the month of March, and you can get signed up today at miraclehillgolf.com. Thursday, March the 9th at 6 p.m., Saturday, March 11th at 9:30 a.m., and Monday, March 13th at 6 p.m. Find out the pathway to lower your score and enjoy golf more than you have before. MiracleHillGolf.com. They're located just north of Dodge on 120th Street. Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis.
From basketball to volleyball, baseball to softball, soccer, tennis, and so much more, the Creighton sports season is packed with action. The 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law, covers it all. Each week, we visit with Blue Jay athletes and coaches to hear their stories and document their climb through the Big East Conference. The 1620 The Jays podcast drops each Friday morning and is found at 1620thezone.com and all major podcast platforms. Just search 1620 The Jays. Covering all things Creighton Blue Jays, it's the 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law from 1620 The Zone.
This is March Madness.
10 on the timer, 1 minute to play. Brooks on the right wing, looks up at the shot clock, twice between the legs, dribbles in on the angle, hook shot, got it! A wild circus hook shot goes for Brooks. Michigan up 4, 49 seconds to go.
The Wolverines went on to beat Tennessee last year to reach the Sweet 16. It was a tournament with more than a dozen memorable upsets. Hear Westwood One's exclusive coverage of this year's NCAA tournament right here.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month.
SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Hi, this is Garen Armstrong with Shamrock Roofing and Construction. That small roofing company my father started 45 years ago has now become one of the largest roofing companies in America by following one rule, the golden rule. No one can install a better roof at a better price, a better warranty than Shamrock Roofing and Construction. Let our local family serve your family. Shamrock Roofing and Construction. Call today or visit us online at shamrockroofer.com.
MD West 1 and the Ortho and Spine Urgent Care are now open on the southwest corner of 192nd and Dodge. MD West 1 is voted the #1 private medical practice in Omaha for orthopedics, neurosurgery, and spine. MD West One's new location in Fountain Ridge includes the Ortho and Spine Urgent Care, where walk-ins are welcome. See the specialists directly for any bone, joint, or muscle injury or condition. Go to mdwest1.com for details.
Attention sales professionals. NRG Media is looking for an accomplished business-to-business salesperson who wants to take their success and skills to a new level. Is this you? Our account executives work with local businesses to create marketing plans to help them get more customers. On air, digital, on-site, audio, video, it's all part of what you could sell. A sales career with NRG lets you make a real difference. Get more info and apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
There are 31 days in March, and you can save $31 per month every month at GenesisHealthClubs.com. If you don't get started on your fitness goals today, then when? Tomorrow? Next week? Next month? Next year? Life's too short for that. Genesis Health Clubs is here all month, giving you 31 reasons to get started towards your summer fitness goals now, not later. Reason number 1. Abs like to sleep in. You have to start waking them up now if you want them to show themselves in the summer. Reason number 2. The safest, most sustainable weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds per week. The earlier you start, the farther you'll go. Reason number 3. If it is to be, it is up to me. Reason number 4. Results may take time, but you'll get blasted with endorphins and feel better today. Reason number 5. Because your health is worth it. 31 days in March. 31 reasons to get started today. And $31 to save every month when you get started at Genesis Health Clubs. Whatever your reason, go to GenesisHealthClubs.com today to get started.
1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, Doug Woodard, head basketball coach at Bellevue West, coming up here in a little bit. We were talking about Thomas Fidone and his first. I'm going to have asked Sam this. I think it's the first time that he has met with the media since he's been at Nebraska. He's done other interviews. We had him on last year. He was doing some stuff with an initiative and some name, image, likeness. Him and Gabe Irvin were signing autographs over in his hometown of Council Bluffs, and interviewed when he was in high school. So people got to hear he's just very confident. Okay, that's who he's always been. And when you get to hear student athletes for the first time and you hear their voice, then take that with, and I'm not comparing here, it's just two completely different people. Ryan Kalkbrenner. So Ryan Kalkbrenner, his voice, deep voice. Defensive Player of the Year for the second straight year in the Big East. But isn't it like refreshing? He's not on social media, and he's kind of, I don't know what the best way to describe him is. I would say he's like innocent. He's like an assassin on the floor, but he's just like a normal college kid.
Goes about his business.
With a deep voice. Who didn't know that he had won the Defensive Player of the Year of the Big East yesterday because he's not on social media. And somebody had to tell him when he went to breakfast. I was listening to him talk, and I like, he likes to talk, but he's kind of a guy that I think would like to go about his own business, just be a college kid. By the way, I'm pretty good at basketball, but that's not what defines me. And I just thought, man, listening to him, that's just like the refreshing innocence of a student athlete who is really, really good at his craft.
Yeah, I think refreshing is probably the best way to describe that too, and very unassuming.
So he'll end up with the Spurs. Sounds just like him.
I'm, as you
just trying to help the team.
As you describe Ryan Kalkbrenner in his intimidation, I mean, and that is exactly what he is as a force on the court, is an intimidating presence. Yeah, Nick. Thank you. But I'm trying to compare him to people that we've seen that have been so like either dominant or good that you just assume they have a personality to go with it. And I don't want to make it sound like Ryan Kalkbrenner doesn't have a good personality, but they have sort of the flamboyance to go along with it when they interact with the media or they have a strong social media presence. And I feel like those guys always stand out.
To the 90s Nebraska basketball team.
Yeah, there you go. That you just every other, they're an everyday guy. They're your average Joe, but then all of a sudden you see them on the floor or the field, and they're larger than life. Like that's Ryan Kalkbrenner, and it's refreshing because of. I'm not saying it's bad if you're on social media, if you have a presence on social media. Hell, you make money by doing that. But for someone who just kind of goes about their business, gets on the floor, good luck against them. but carries themselves in a very unassuming way. Like, I love that. I'm a big fan. And then, yeah, when you have the deep voice, which you were almost wandering into Patrick Mahomes territory when you were doing that voice.
Oh, no.
It's not. It's
Patrick
not. Yeah,
Mahomes
it's
is
not
Kermit
real.
the Frog.
Yeah.
And by the way, Travis Kelce did a great impersonation on Saturday Night Live.
It was good.
He was actually pretty good. Yeah, I
Kelce-
got to admit, he was
Kelce
good.
was fantastic. He was so much better than I thought he was going to be. He looked like a natural.
Mhm.
That is one of the best athlete appearances on Saturday
I
Night
agree.
Live. And I'm
not a Travis Kelce fan.
As a Chiefs fan, I'm gonna step aside and look at it from an entertainment standpoint. He was much better than I could have ever imagined.
I had a feeling it'd be good. Love that he got his brother involved and the family. And it was good.
That you knew that was going to happen, that his brother was going to show up.
I got to admit, I didn't think it'd be very good.
Some of the writing wasn't towards the back half of the show, but it wasn't Travis. He was good in everything.
And it wasn't because of Travis that I didn't think it'd be good. I just think that sometimes we assume because they have we're talking about, Colquitt doesn't have a loud personality off the floor. When you sort of have an in-your-face sort of WWE mentality, and they're like, oh, this is going to definitely translate on SNL. Let's put him on there. There have been times where like, ooh, it's kind of awkward and cringeworthy. I thought he did great.
Yeah, you could tell he had a lot of fun.
Anybody notice that Heidi Gardner seemed to be in a lot of skits with him?
Yeah, I thought that too.
Huh. Okay.
Stir. I wonder if you sort of match the personality, match the enthusiasm, energy level, if you will, with the Chaos members.
No, I think it's matching. I'm a girl, and you're a guy, and we're going to be together. Doug Wood joins us next on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a little bit of slowdown from 192nd to 175th along Center. Then on Highway 370, be prepared for a very minor delay from Richland Drive all the way to 84th. And on Dodge, it looks like things are slowing down just a little bit from 80th to 72nd. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Everyone knows Saul's pays top dollar for your gold, but Saul's pays cash on the spot for your precious metals too. Silver, gold, platinum, coins, bars. Who wants to wait to get paid? Get to Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Saul's Jewelry and Loan. You'll find it all at Saul's Jewelry.
Hi, friends. Kent Pavelka courtside getting ready for this year's matchup between the Average Roofing Companies and the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard. The average roofers are just that, average at best, not very impressive. The Rooferees, above and beyond the opponent, more dependable, service that exceeds the norm, good sportsmanship, fairness, and integrity. You know them, you love them, and they're ready to win for you. Make the right call with John Higgins Weather Guard. It's tip-off time with the Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
If you were at the sports show, you know what's new in RVs at Leach Camper Sales. And show deals are extended. Plus, check out our blowout sale on 2022 models with no payments for a year with approved credit. Visit leachcamper.com.
And don't forget, coffee's always on.
Come visit Les Voltaire, Omaha's own little corner of France, for mouth-watering appetizers, French flair entrees, melt-in-your-mouth desserts, and an extensive brunch menu on Sundays from 10 to 2, whether dinner or brunch with friends, celebrating a special occasion, entertaining clients, or just chilling with French wines and craft cocktails. Les Voltaire will make you feel right at home, just like they've been doing for more than 2 decades. Les Voltaire, just off 156th and West Dodge Road in Pepperwood Village, and at lesvoltaireomaha.com.
Your 17th ranked Omaha Maverick hockey team hosts the NCHC playoffs for the first time since the opening of Baxter Arena. The Mavs take on the North Dakota Fighting Hawks this Friday and Saturday with a trip to the Frozen Face-Off on the line. All tickets for the playoffs are only $15 and they're going fast. So get your tickets today and let's rock the Baxter. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or at omavs.com/tickets.
Finding great people to hire is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's pretty difficult, right? Well, ZipRecruiter has mastered finding a needle in a haystack, so they take it to the next level. They make hiring so simple that it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. And that's why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Here's what it's like to use ZipRecruiter. They have so many qualified candidates that it's easier to find the right ones for your roles. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's a lot of needles. So how do they do it? ZipRecruiter's powerful technology sends you candidates who are a great match for your job, and you can even invite your top choices to apply. So if you want less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Tickets for Less. Best seats, best prices, no per ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
All right, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., State Boys Basketball Tournament begins down in Lincoln. By the way, talk about a way to start your morning. We're going to have number 1 Wahoo, a number 1 seed, and number 8 seed Auburn. Jim Weeks getting ready for a 9 a.m. game against Wahoo. Well, hello. Boys State starts tomorrow in Lincoln at PBA in the Devaney Center. At 1:30 tomorrow, Bellevue West, unbeaten number 1. They take the floor against Lincoln North Star. Their head coach joins us now, Doug Woodard. Coach, good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. Always good to talk to you.
So how does you've done this? This is winning is hard. We don't take it for granted. But this is kind of a routine for you. What's the buildup as you try and make it back to the 4th straight final? What's the buildup once you're in the state tournament prior to when you take the floor for the first time? What's that week like?
Well, it's a little different in terms of the rhythm of the regular season, of course, because you've got the way the boys side of it works. You've got a little bit longer, obviously, than a week's time. So you got to figure out a way to kind of keep them interested. And obviously you have to give them a day or two off in there. You're not going to go that many days in a row, and as well as then play 3 and 4 days and practice the 4th day and be in a good place. So you've got to take some time off and celebrate the year you've had, but keep their focus on the job that's ahead. And it is kind of a long buildup.
And Coach, with your style of play, and this goes back so long of watching you guys sort of dictate the tempo, but the intensity as well. I mean, when it does come to sort of managing the legs, at what point of the season does that kind of come into play? Because I would think that's probably something as you guys get into February, you're kind of looking at, that balance there.
Yeah, and there's some variables, of course. How deep are you, number one? To what's kind of the level of maturity and mental toughness that they have. In 3, what's their health? And those things obviously vary from year to year. And every coach is trying to get that balance. Well, can we get to we always talk about trying to get to even another level of conditioning than what you were in that week and a half, but at the same time getting the rest that you need to recover, so you're at a premium place. It's a hard balance.
You've had some great teams, and you've had some excellent players. I don't know that you've had as many teams that are as deep as this one, where you could go 9-10 deep, and it's not just Josiah at the top or Jaden. I mean, we go all the way down, Garcia, Stuvie, Turner. I could go on and on. But when you have that deep of a team and you all have a common goal, the one thing I've noticed watching you play this year is this is a group that really likes each other. So how has that chemistry developed, and what's your thoughts on how good of a core this is with their chemistry that is so important this time of the year?
Well, the chemistry is probably, in my view, the most underrated aspect of maybe something that separates a team from being really good or just good and average and a little below average. It's that level of chemistry. And if there was an easy answer to that, of course, you'd write a book, retire, and not be concerned about the monetary side of things. There's not an easy answer to it. And in the final analysis, it comes down to the leaders on the team. And we're fortunate to have great leaders in the senior class, obviously, in Josiah and Jackson and JB. Josh High and Ramel. Our seniors have just been tremendous leaders. And the chemistry, when you have folks like Josh High and Ramel Woodard, that their primary job is kind of to work that scout team, but they come every day and they bring it every day, and they give a level of athleticism we usually don't see, to practice against, and so that makes, I think, all the younger guys develop it, helps them develop an unselfish team first mentality.
Coach, in a very, very long time ago, when you really got this thing going, I mean, talking to early 2000s, I had a conversation not too long ago with Marty Levinson, who was on, one of those teams, and between he and like Fredenberg and some of those other guys, talking about the style, and kind of going back to the intensity, the speed, and the conditioning that you guys would put into really early in the season, and even leading up to the season, that Marty would always tell me, he would say that at times they didn't know exactly what this would do for them, where this was going. And then when you would get into districts, when you get into state, they felt like that fourth quarter was the easiest because they would look around, teams were gassed, but there always had to be sort of a buy-in. And as you've established that program, as you have established the success, and everyone has seen the fruits of that labor, I mean, is it a lot easier of a buy-in when you see year in and year out from your guys?
I don't know if it's no, not necessarily. I mean, with some folks maybe, but it's tough. There's a lot of people don't want to work that hard, and that's all right. I mean, it's not for everybody, and which is fine, but it takes a tremendous amount of dedication and toughness, and that's not for everybody. It's never going to be for everybody, and some years that maybe has hurt us a little bit, but it's just something we believe in. That you just have to be willing to pay a physical price, to be able to go through the grind. It's not quite the grind with 3 and 4 days that it was for so many years of 3 and 3 days.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's actually 3 in less than 72 hours, depending on the slots of your games. You have to be at a level of physical conditioning. It can't just occur with minor amounts of preseason conditioning.
Why is this team so good defensively?
Well, I think primarily and I would say they might be to this point, might be our best defensive overall team. I think it's because there's a buy-in from one all the way through the end of the roster, that they have bought into the idea that we are not going to be able to control shots going in. You're not going to be able to control how a game's called. There's a lot of things you can't control. But what you can control is the level of effort you give defensively and the dedication to the principles. Everybody's got whatever defensive principles they have, and ours aren't any better than anybody else's, and they're different than some, but there's not better or worse. It's just everybody's got something they believe in, and our guys just really believe in the things that are our core principles, and they sold out to them, and they've seen the fruit of it. Even when we haven't shot well, it's kept us there and able to be in the game, and then in the fourth quarter, you hope that conditioning comes in.
There is a time that if you're going into postseason play, and especially in a state tournament, that an unblemished record would be something that kind of how you treat a pitcher of the no-hitter. You just ignore it. You get away from it. You don't talk about it. But with social media, Coach, and everybody else talking about it, it's there. It's present. How do you and your staff balance that part of the conversation about this Bellevue West team? I mean, and does it become easier once you get to the state tournament, knowing that, hey guys, one loss means it's, that's it. We don't reach our goal.
Well, we talked about it one time, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, maybe at this point. It may have been a little longer than that, but within the last couple of weeks, we talked about it. from the standpoint of fellas, it's so where we're at. We are where we're at right now. We're whatever it is, 26-0. We're not going to win the state tournament because we're 26-0, and we're not going to lose the state tournament because we're 26-0. Every team down there now has a mission, and it's to be undefeated for 3 games. What your record is now, at this point, is irrelevant. Now, getting to 26-0 is not an easy thing.
No,
it's not. It's not.
Very few in A.
They've done that. That part of the deal, and now every team's in the same boat. It doesn't matter, if we got points, like if we were ahead 10-0 because we were undefeated. Now I would feel a lot better, or I guess I feel worse if it's going to be harder because so you don't get you start off 10-0, then I wouldn't feel as good, but it doesn't matter at this point, and I guess it's a neat side thing, but that's all it is.
What are your thoughts? You playing Lincoln North Star tomorrow, and Lincoln North Star, Doug, I can't recall a time where the Gretna gym has been as packed as it was last week, and North Star went in there and beat Gretna to get into the state tournament. Your thoughts on your opponent tomorrow at 1:30, and then the rest of the field as you've played nearly all of them?
Well, I tell you what, I mean, North Star, what tremendous size, athleticism, shot blocking ability at the rim, with 2-6-8 kids, and obviously then a very, very good wing and a really, I think, a vastly improved point guard. They've got a lot of the pieces, and they look the part. And obviously, that was you go in Gretna and win. That is a tremendous. And for them, obviously, it was a doer. They either win it or they don't go to the state tournament. So, just a tremendous effort on their part. So we know we've got our hands full, and we're going to try to get the game tempo to where we'd like it to be, and hopefully get into their bench a little bit. But their starting 5 is tremendous, and the rest of the field, I tell you what, whether you're on our side and you got obviously east and west side, and 2 very similar in some ways in that they're heavily guard driven, and east is senior dominated. Has just had an outstanding year. That's going to be a great game, and Gretna Southeast is another team similar to North Star. They're scary because of their size. They have quick guards. They at times they just look tremendous, and then obviously you get to Millard North and Elkhorn South, and Elkhorn South kind of a team somewhat similar to Lincoln East. They've got a lot of players that can make plays, and they scare you offensively, and Millard North obviously has just tremendous talent. Younger than they've been a little bit, but just tremendous talent. So there ain't going to be anything easy. There shouldn't be. It's a state tournament, and it should be outstanding 3 days.
Yeah, there's always obviously the state tournament, you got the best of the best, but when you always look at it every year, it always seems like maybe there's a characteristic for each season, because you want to feel like as a team, you've been battle tested, for this point of the season, you're, playing your best basketball, but I always feel like every year there might be, maybe a run of really good guard play at the state tournament, or there might be a run of, real good big men. Maybe it's just overall athletes. Just in the 26 games that you've kind of experienced throughout the state going into it, is something that stands out about the competition, something that stands out about what kind of has you guys prepared for the state tournament compared to maybe years past?
Well, I think one thing is, I think there are a lot of these teams, and I guess all of them in many ways, have made tremendous improvement. I think the level of play has really improved as the season has progressed, and then beyond that, I think it's kind of unique in that I think Lincoln has a tremendous amount of really good big men. Virtually every team, and in this area, I think in Omaha, in the metro area, I think there's a greater concentration of really good guards. So it's kind of a different year in that regard. But primarily for me, I think there's been you just watch film now, and then you think back to the film that you watched in preparation early in the year, and I just think there's been really, really, really good improvement overall.
Hey, I've known you for a long time, and I know that people say, "Well, hey, you're a Hall of Famer. You've won over 600 games," and you say, "I haven't hit a bucket in a while. I haven't made an assist." It's about the kids. I love the business. I love the coaches, but there is part of you that the long run at Bellevue West. Have you let yourself go there yet? That when you wake up Sunday morning, the Doetzler name will be down to just one player, and that's the baby of the family, who's a sophomore on the girls' team. That when Josiah is done playing this weekend, that the great run of Doetzlers that have played and been so important to Bellevue West in the community, in the school, and the basketball program, that's going to be over. Have you allowed yourself to think about what an impact that family has had?
Oh yeah, I think about it, all the time, and obviously an impact on the court as well as off the court, and just on the overall program. The only thing I'm upset about is they stopped at 14 kids. They could have been thinking about us and kept the thing going. But no, it's. I try not to think about that, though. I tried not to think about when Chucky would leave. I try to deny reality in those regards. So. But yeah, obviously just so grateful to them, and we've had some other obviously tremendous families. You just don't have this kind of thing without having great families involved.
Yeah, 14 siblings, and 12 of them have worn the purple and gold. One final thing, as you brought it up. So let me ask you from the standpoint, because I've gotten to know the Fiddlers, the whole family, over the last couple of years, and you could have sat on your couch on Saturday night and watched Frankie Fiddler, Lewis Fiddler, William Kyle III play. Then on Sunday night, you could have watched Chucky play against Minnesota, and then last night could have watched William play against North Dakota State. As a family guy yourself, what is it like to watch your alums playing on TV after they played for you and you know them so well?
Oh, it's fun. One of the most fun things about it is you're not as obviously competitively invested, and you probably don't see as many warts on them as when they played for you. You just want them to do really well. It's kind of like having your own son or daughter out there, and you just want them to do well, and you want them to stay healthy. Chucky went down here about a week and a half ago, and it looked like it could be a pretty bad knee deal, and you just cringe at those kind of things. But we're so fortunate, and sometimes we can't catch it. You might have to go to your computer and get it on one of those offbeat things. You won't get it on the TV, but we try to get it. We try to see as much as we can of those guys, and of course, it's even more fun when you go see them live. But you just want them to do well.
That's great. That's a great tribute to your program. Congratulations on the season. I know that it's not over, and there'll be a test tomorrow at 1:30. And as always, Doug, I appreciate your time. Good luck.
Guys, thanks a lot. I appreciate all you do.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach Doug Woodard, Bellevue West, the number 1 seed. They take on Lincoln North Star tomorrow at 1:30. Unbeaten. I mean, in Class A, it's rare. But the 2012 prep team was, they finished 30-0?
Mm-hmm.
Or the Central team, I beg your pardon.
On the Central.
Then there was the prep team. The prep team in 2016 only had 1 loss. He had a team that only had 1 loss. I mean, it's very rare to be able to run the gamut. And it wasn't like they played an easy schedule. I mean, they played everybody to be unbeaten. I mean, they're prohibitive favorite. But if the Lincoln East West Side game will be the best game of the day tomorrow, that's the 3:15 game. The winner of that game gets Bellevue West. West Side has played Bellevue West twice. The last time they played them, the game went to overtime. West Side, if they're really good, they're really good. They're really bad, they're really bad. But if you get good West Side and you get good Bellevue West, that semifinal matchup, if it comes to fruition, would be fantastic. But Lincoln East, Omaha West Side is going to be a great 4-5 game tomorrow.
Yeah, the going back to the unbeaten teams too, and a team that I grew up watching, and you kind of looked at them like gods. And that was the I believe 88 Millard South that went 22-0, beat Benson, and Benson had some good players on that team too for a state title. And it's It's so rare. And this is why I always hold in such high reverence, no matter what the team is. And, we were talking about, is this Bellevue West team even, the best one that Woodard has had? But when you're able to run the table, even if it's not as deep of a Class A or metro area, the things that can happen on a night in, night out basis where, again, especially in basketball, and shots aren't falling, maybe somebody gets in a foul trouble, maybe there's ill-timed injury, whatever it might be. There's so many things that have to go into it besides just being a good basketball team to run the table. It is so impressive. And nowadays, because it is so rare, it's unavoidable as far as that conversation. And I remember having the fortune of being a part of a baseball team in 05 with Millard North, where, again, social media wasn't that big of a deal. So you could kind of block that out, and your kids are engaged on that. To be able to sort of balance that, it's probably, I don't want to make it sound like it's easier in the state tournament because of the competition, but now you're probably got the ultimate motivation of, like Coach said, doesn't matter 26-0 right now. It matters if you can get 3-0, because 3-0 is going to get you the state championship. So whether that's been sort of a big burden on the team of trying to block out that noise. Well, now you're down to where, you got to keep winning to ultimately accomplish the goal. So, but again, to even get to that part of the season with an unblemished record, that says something. That is just truly an amazing accomplishment.
Can you name all the Dotzlers that have played at Bellevue West? So the family has combined. Bellevue West has won 8 boys and girls state basketball championships. A Dotzler has had a hand in 6 of them. 3 girls, 3 boys. So Josiah is the last boy.
Yeah, Josh
then the baby of the family is a sophomore at Bellevue West. Zail. Yeah, Zail is the sophomore. So she's the last one.
Yeah, Josh, Josiah, the Zail I did not know about.
And Bellevue West girls had a really good year as well.
Yep.
It's an amazing family. I mean, they do a lot of great things, mom and dad. But the Dotzler dynasty, that's a heck of a run for one.
I love
family.
that answer though too. Could add more,
Well, really, I mean, come on,
contribute more to the program.
Yeah, I mean, they're fantastic. But it'd be okay if you had some more kids. Mom and dad are going. Ron's going. That's okay. Yeah, we're good. We're good. All right, Sam McEwen's coming up here in a little bit. A little bit later, Darren DeVries, who has very familiar with the Bellevue West program and recruiting. He is preparing for the announcement on Sunday of where the Drake Bulldogs are going. D-Rock will join us coming up at about 9:30 right here on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. So there are a lot of Bellevue West products that have gone on and played their spring and summer with Omaha Sports Academy or future T-Birds. Well, you'll see a lot in the Boys State Basketball Tournament, regardless if it's Class A all the way to Class D2. There are products for the Omaha Sports Academy that you will see on the floor. You want to take your basketball game to the next level, your enjoyment, playing top-notch facilities against great competition. You could do it with Omaha Sports Academy this spring and summer. Boys, high school tryouts, 15, 16, 17, coming up this Sunday. For more information, go to the website, omahasportsacademy.com. What are you going to get? Well, with spring and summer, you're going to be part of the only program that is an Adidas circuit with the high-level boys basketball program. But the whole operation will take your game and improve it with skill development on the floor with the OSA trained staff and their full-time staff that have a lengthy resume of a different background in terms of basketball. Have fun, play hoops, win, be successful, and you could be somebody we're talking about on Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Omaha Sports Academy. For more information on their upcoming tryouts and how you can be part of it, log on to omahasportsacademy.com.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10 on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. The Connor Happer Show.
Are you interested in any Queso Tomanagua? We're making a product out of it. It's water bottles, and it's Queso Tomanagua.
Queso Tomanagua Pina?
Exactly. You seem like you want to invest.
I think that you're onto something here that could take off.
We just need a retweet from Steph Curry.
Yeah, you could get stuff like whenever I'm thirsty, I grab a bottle of ice cold Queso Tomanagua. The commercials write themselves at this point.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Another cloudy and cool day ahead for Tuesday. Breezy at times with east winds gusting 10 to 20 miles per hour. Highs in the low to mid 40s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. On 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain, time-saving traffic center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can't expect a significant delay from eastbound I-80 all the way to 102nd Street on L. Then along Highway 370, be prepared for some major slowdown from 150th. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Lus Hills Harley-Davidson.
Riding season is here, and it's time to trade in and trade up. Or, if you ain't riding it, Lus Hills Harley-Davidson is buying it. Sell your Harley-Davidson today. Lus Hills Harley-Davidson. Rise up and ride on.
Creighton coverage on the Zone is presented by Barry Law. At Barry Law, we fight alongside those who choose to fight back. Call Barry Law at 402-999-7777 or visit BarryLawFirm.com. At Barry Law, we're in it to win it.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
There are 31 days in March, and you can save $31 per month every month at GenesisHealthClubs.com. If you don't get started on your fitness goals today, then when? Tomorrow? Next week? Next month? Next year? Life's too short for that. Genesis Health Clubs is here all month, giving you 31 reasons to get started towards your summer fitness goals now, not later.
Reason number 1.
Abs like to sleep in. You have to start waking them up now if you want them to show themselves in the summer.
Reason number 2.
The safest, most sustainable weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds per week. The earlier you start, the farther you'll go.
Reason number 3.
If it is to be, it is up to me.
Reason number 4.
Results may take time, but you'll get blasted with endorphins and feel better today.
Reason number 5.
Because your health is worth it. 31 days in March, 31 reasons to get started today, and $31 to save every month when you get started at Genesis Health Clubs. Whatever your reason, go to GenesisHealthClubs.com today to get started.
Say goodbye to ordinary home shows. The Omaha Lifestyle and Home Expo features smart technology and thousands of dollars in giveaways like gas fireplaces, pellet smoker, and electronics. Lots of activities for the kids, including a St. Patrick's Day treasure hunt. Plus, catch all the NCAA tournament action in the new Expo Lounge. Free admission for veterans and active military. Made available by Rotor Mortuaries. Discover the latest in home design and technology at the Omaha Lifestyle and Home Expo. March 17th through 19th at the CHI Health Center. Presented by Cox Communications.
Your Omaha Maverick hockey team welcomes North Dakota to Baxter Arena for the opening round of the NCHC Conference Tourney this weekend. Pregame is at 6:45 Friday. Puck drops at 7:07. It's UNO versus North Dakota on your home for Maverick hockey. News Talk 1290 Coil.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Check out Kugler Vision's Spring Break Spectacular LASIK Savings at KuglerVision.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. It's time for The Deuce with Jimmy Chavez on 1620 The Zone. All the headlines you need in 2 minutes or less.
Omaha women's basketball will play for the Summit League Championship this afternoon. That's after the Mavericks beat Kansas City 69-60 in the tournament semifinals yesterday in Sioux Falls. To do the improbable, they'll have to do the improbable and take down the number 1 seed, the 27-5 Jackrabbits of South Dakota State, winners of 20 straight, including yesterday's 87-60 win over Oral Roberts. And the game before that, they scored 87 as they beat St. Thomas 87-59. See if they score 87 again, or if the Mavs can knock them off. Game time's 1 o'clock. John will have it at 1180 The Zone, and you can actually watch it on TV on ESPNU. Ryan Kalkbrenner has been named Big East Defensive Player of the Year for the second straight season. He's just the 11th player in league history to win the recognition more than once, joining the likes of Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning, Dikembe Mutombo, Chris Dunn, and Allen Iverson among those to win it multiple times. That's pretty good company. He's the first repeat winner since former Creighton guard Kyrie Thomas in 2017 and 18. Creighton has now had a Big East Defensive Player of the Year in 4 of the past 7 seasons. Speaking of the Jays, they return to the top 25, coming in at 24 in this week's polls. They'll play the late game Thursday at the world's most famous arena in New York in a Big East tournament quarterfinals against the winner of Wednesday night's Villanova-Georgetown first-round game. Wonder who will win. There will be no baseball between Creighton and Omaha tonight due to the forecast of cold and just overall gross weather later today. The game will now be played Tuesday, April 4th at 5:30. Creighton opens its home schedule, though, Thursday, weather permitting, as the Blue Jays host BYU in a 3-game series set to begin that evening at 6 o'clock. UConn women's basketball wins its 10th consecutive conference tournament title with a 67-56 victory over 10th-ranked Villanova in the championship game last night. Following the game, UConn coach Gino Auriemma did the gritty with his grandkids. Not sure how his form is.
Who isn't doing the gritty these days?
Everybody is.
Yeah.
Not me, though.
Yeah, they should be a number 1 seed. What they were able to pull off, you can say, well, it's UConn. But look at who they lost.
They've been decimated.
Yeah. They came to Omaha and they had, 7 players?
Mm-hmm.
And they blew out a really good Creighton team. I mean, they've had injuries all over the place. And they beat a good Villanova team last night. I think UConn should be a number 1 seed. I know in the bracketology for women's basketball, they're a number 2 seed.
That's where I'm interested in, like, when we look at the committee evaluation for the men's side of it, and you look at injury situations, and you look at what teams have had to endure or overcome, or how a team looks when healthy compared to when they're not healthy, and all of those different factors. Does it get the same type of conversation? Do those same type of metrics and also the eyeball test apply when it comes to seeding in the women's tournament as well? Because I think it's a fair question.
We'll find out on Sunday. Let's chat with Sam McEwen of the World Herald. Hey, good morning.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, sorry to hear you were headed to Iowa City and you suffered a little flat tire. Where did you hole up on Sunday in West Des Moines?
The Grumpy Goat.
Oh, not a bad spot.
That just sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty good. A lot of Iowa fans there, but I'll tell you, they were there for Caitlin Clark and the wrestling more than they were for the Iowa men's basketball game.
Doesn't that seem? I mean, I know Caitlin Clark is everything. And then Iowa wrestling, which in the toughest conference in America, finished runner-up to Penn State. But that was it. It's just been a weird, like, Iowa men's basketball season, like with Fran, and they got swept by Nebraska, and just kind of it was like almost a dead atmosphere in there for Senior Day on Sunday.
Yeah, I feel like the fan base there doesn't feel as much affinity for him as it would maybe some other coaches, including Kirk Ferentz. I feel like there's a loyalty and an affinity for maybe not Kirk's son, but there's been kind of a stick-to-itiveness with the football coach that may be changing. I mean, I think there's been a lot that's happened in Iowa football over the last however many years. But Franz, I don't think he's ever quite engendered that much support. He does have a reputation on the court that he's earned. I mean, he's done a lot of things on the court. Off the court, I think he's been a pretty good guy as far as I know. But their team their team has a lot of talent. Probably should be better than the record they have. But you know what? I would say that about 3 or 4 Big Ten teams, to be really honest with you. I'm a little surprised that Illinois wasn't better than they were, and a few other teams too. So, it's a great pool of parity in the Big Ten, no question about it.
Sam, this time last week, or I should say, at post-Michigan State, there was a lot of kind of wondering what this team would look like. in what seemed to be a buzzsaw, given what Iowa was coming off of in their dominant performance in Bloomington, Indiana, and Nebraska's second half where they just get, scorched by Michigan State. What did you learn, if anything, about this Nebraska team under Fred Hoiberg compared to maybe some previous years and what they did in Iowa City on Sunday?
Well, there's so many metrics about the performance that was not, you would say they would lose. But they've been really good at over the last 8 games or so, or just make a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're good offensively. They make a lot of shots. They're shoot 37% from 3 over the last 8 games, and they've taken quite a few threes over those games.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't just been K-State; it's been Lawrence, it's been others that have made 3-pointers. I think their offense has a pretty good identity. I think that all the guys on the floor understand what they're trying to do on offense, which helps. Sam Hoiberg's a freshman, but he probably knows his dad's offense better than anybody. And Lawrence has done a really good job of getting with the flow. And then everybody else out there, I think, kind of knows what they're doing. So offensively, they've been good. They've made shots. Let's not forget, Emmanuel Bandamel and Joel and Gary had a lot of open shots this year. They just didn't make.
Mm-hmm.
They were left open, and they just weren't able to make shots. Now these guys are making, and it's notable. They know what they want to do on defense, and it either works or it doesn't. They're going to double the post. They're not going to let Philip Rebraca or any other post player beat them. They're going to double the post. They're going to force reverses and skip passes and all kinds of stuff. And sooner or later, a team's probably going to shoot a 3, and it's either going to be a really good shot or it's going to be a poor shot based on how Nebraska closes out and rotates. And, that's how they want to play. And there may come a day when they have a center that's as good as Ryan Colkberger defensively, where they don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And they can play differently, and they're not going to double in the post and things like that. But the reality is they have to protect Derek Walker, and so because he's so important to them offensively, that they basically have to use a different strategy. And you know what? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It didn't work against Michigan State second half, but sometimes it works, and it works against just well enough against Iowa.
So let's transition over to yesterday and some football stuff a couple of weeks ahead of spring football. So I think for everybody, that was the first time they got to hear Thomas Fidone, and maybe officially as a Nebraska football player, that was his first media thing. He's talked to a bunch of us doing different things over the past year, and he's very honest. Some people would say he's unplugged. I just think he's a college kid who's very curious about things, and he's very confident. And you ask him how he's doing, he's going to tell you how he's doing. He got into why he didn't play last year. What was your read on that? On him describing that he was practicing but wasn't cleared, and coaches were hollering at doctors or whatever. How did you sift through what all of that was going on last fall?
Well, you can almost start with the last thing he said, and it helps justify the whole thing. The last thing he said about it was that the team wasn't very good, and his inclusion may not have had much of an impact. And that he didn't quite say it like that, but what he was basically saying is, my return wasn't going to be worth the risk, because the reward wasn't going to be winning a bunch of games, because the team was what it was. So he got shut down, I guess, in mid-October. This is tough. I feel like he was shut down before the Purdue game and after the Rutgers game, something like that. And so I don't know. I don't know how much impact he would have had on the back half of the season. It's possible that you can use the butterfly flaps with wings over here, and it changes everything. If he's in the Illinois game, does man coverage work? How much of the offense did he really know? I mean, he hadn't really practiced a lot in Whipple's offense. My sense that Whipple was probably one of the people that wasn't happy. So, at the end of the day, they didn't want to see him get re-injured. And he was only, at that point, 5-6 months from rehab, tearing up his knee. And so I think their thought process was, we're going to save him. if you talk to Matt Rule, he'll say that it's going to take a year to a year and a half for a guy to get all the way back, and he's not going to rush it. And so, by the time Fedoni comes back in August of 23, it'll be a year and a half. And that'll be, in Rule's opinion, an appropriate amount of time. So I think they just didn't want to see him get hurt again. I'm sure Thomas Fedoni would have run out there.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't have had a problem or had a hesitation going out there. But there's a lot of things that Thomas Fedoni would do that probably isn't wise for his knees health. So, and him going up there yesterday, I think a couple of us were like, well, he's going to say something.
Yeah.
Because this is what he does. I mean, he says stuff. And so, and when he got to Nebraska, I think there were guys within the program who were like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
What's he talking about? And they had to calm him down a little bit. And so yesterday he goes up there and he gets into it. Everybody had a reaction to it. I think my reaction was, well, this is kind of who he is, and that's over. Nebraska's coaches probably should have handled, whoever they were. I don't think it was Scott Frost. Should have handled it better than they did, and we're moving on. And he's going to be a factor, hopefully in 2023.
Matt Rule has done a really good job of disclosing a lot of what they're doing and how it's hopefully going to lead to bigger things. One of the things that I took away yesterday was him talking about not just the competition physically and the mat drills and talking about that, but the community involvement too when it came to this point system. As you're kind of listening to that, and he's trying to explain, as Sharpie would say, the why, which is refreshing to hear. Do you see a path? Do you see where this is going, or at least how Matt Rule is kind of mapping it out on how this can help this team in the long run?
Well, let's talk about what I could view to the two kinds of accountability that are coming from this. I think the first kind of accountability when you're talking off the field is being to places on time. You have a schedule in front of you. Football practice needs to be viewed importantly, but so does study hall, so does going to class, so does being at mealtime, so does staying in the cafeteria to eat meals. He's trying to build sort of accountability within the structure of the day. The second thing, going to the sporting events and the community service, and Nebraska's always been pretty good at community service, so I don't want to. The life skills people have been good at that. The other thing, though, going to the sporting events, nobody's made them do that.
Yeah.
I think that accountability is related to Matt Rule trying to put a sense of responsibility on these players that they're a big deal. And they need to understand that their role as a football player on campus is larger than just the bubble with which is that they live in. And I think that's probably been different for some of those guys. Now you go back to the 90s, and Gary was down there. Now, not all of those guys that were on Tom Osborne's team were choir boys in the community, and I'm not trying to downplay anything that happened. There were things that happened in the 90s that should not have happened, and we've talked about those ad nauseam. One thing I will say though is that you did sense that the football players on campus took a sense of responsibility for being the people they were, the stature that they were on campus.
Correct. Correct.
And I think that that they just carried themselves that way, and you saw them, and they wore their leather jackets, and I got down there in '96, and that culture was still there. Like it was a really big deal to be a football player, and you just sensed it around campus. It's just the whole campus oriented on that, and that's gone. That's not around anymore. Now last year you had a captain talking about how professors were disparaging the quarterback in classrooms, and not to knock that player, but that's a total inverse of the attitude that you would want. Complete reversal. And so I think Rule is trying to institute again this notion of you're a Nebraska football player. You have responsibilities beyond just playing the football game. You have a responsibility on campus. You have a responsibility to the other athletes in the athletic department. We're going to ask more of you than you have been asked of up till now. And we'll see if it works. I suspect it will, but I think that's a different piece of the culture that I don't think a lot of teams pay much attention to anymore, because of the sort of year-round training aspect of football. But Rule pays attention to it, and he wants a guy like Chief Borders, who embodies all of this, be a guy that's just interested in other sports. He's on campus, he's around, he's an ambassador, and that engenders power. Powerful relationship between the football program and the community. And Rule wants more of those kind of guys.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you, and I saw it firsthand when I was down there. And you see it more. You see more football players interacting with athletes from other sports, and it's not because they want to date players on the soccer team. And I think that's important. It's refreshing, and I think there's got to be. This means something down the road when you start playing games. Is Matt Rule gets it? He's very transparent, which I think in this fan base and with us as a media core that deliver the news, and we consume so much of it, he is feeding right into all of us because he likes to talk football and he likes to explain, as I say, the why. He had a couple of quotes yesterday. The one that stands out is, and he's perfect in front of a podium speaking. He's comfortable and he's very confident in his blueprint, and he sticks to that core. Before we can teach, we have to learn. That was a key one. I thought another enlightening one, and I want your reaction to this one, was, quote, "What we don't need is a bunch of spokespeople. I watched highlight tape from last year. We put it together, and it's all people giving speeches in the locker room. If you've got to give a speech in the locker room, it usually means you're getting your tail beat."
No, that's good. Yeah, I mean, that's it. He talks fast. That's a pretty strong critique of what was here before. And I think so. If you watch their videos now, it's a lot of action. And it's a lot of guys like pushing stuff and doing stuff. And there isn't a ton of like players hollering or screaming or yelling. It's not a close up of a guy screaming at somebody else. But I think he's trying to sort of redirect the leadership energy into a different place. I do think, given Rule's high capability of communicating, I don't think he downplays vocal leadership, because Rule himself is a pretty good talker.
Yep.
So it's not that, but I think it's more trying to get the team to sort of embrace a lot of task-driven stuff that isn't about talking about goals and dreams and all of those things. Now, flip side of the coin, I think Nebraska players feel a sense of pressure and responsibility to go out there and tell everybody they're going to have a great season, and so they feel like I do think there's some of that there, and so there's still things. As impressed as I am about his ability to sort of synthesize what's been going on here and be able to respond to it within a press conference, I still think there's just things you're going to learn as you go along. And I'm not saying I know those things and he doesn't, but we've been around it. And so I think we know some of the things that can happen. And if they go 0-2 to start the season, I think he'll understand what some of those things are. Now, if they don't, if they go 2-0, man, I mean, everybody's dancing and having a lot of fun. But there's a real chance they could start 0-2. I don't know what Deion's team's going to be like, but I do know what PJ Fleck's team's going to be like. And right now, it's probably a better football team than Nebraska. But so they could start 0-2, and we're going to have to work through that, and they're going to have to work through it, and so they'll find out some of the challenges that come with this slate that maybe haven't been entirely revealed yet. Nobody wins the offseason like Nebraska, so everything's good right now.
Hey, one other quick thing about the offseason that maybe have gotten passed over because you had Thomas Fidone and Chief Borders and Matt Rule there. And we know now why Fidone and Borders were up front, because it's also very rare before a guy ever steps foot on the field at Nebraska that he's going to talk to the media. I mean, step foot on spring ball. So we get Chief Borders yesterday. I thought it was, and he's not going to be able to go through spring because he's still rehabbing. But what was your takeaway that Teddy Prohaska apparently has had a really, really good winter conditioning in terms of like leadership and being healthy. He just can't do stuff in spring.
I think it's terrific. You know, Teddy is a good kid, and lots of positive things about him. They have to be really smart. Obviously, he came back. He didn't even trust his own skill set out there when he came back last year, and then he got hurt again. And so they've got to be, you know, that's what do you call it? Precious cargo.
Yes, it is.
You really have to make sure that he's good. And it's good to hear that he's doing well. He's a real positive and sort of boisterous type, you know, really well liked on the team and all that. So they really have to do a good job of protecting their big guys. And you know what? I think they've done okay there on the defensive side of the ball. I think Ty Robinson is, you know, he's been relatively healthy, right? Like he's been relatively healthy over the course of his time here, but they've got to do a little bit better job with that offensive line. I think just making sure everybody's good to go, and so yeah, it's really positive that he's doing well, and they need him. I mean, he solves a lot of problems for them, because if he's able to be healthy and 100%, and let's just say he's an honorable mention Big Ten tackle next season, not first or second team. Yeah, you know, like he helps them out a lot, because then that allows them to move some guys around. I still think Bryce Benhart's going to be the starting right tackle. I'll be real honest with you. I still think that's going to be the case. So, and he's not terrible. He's not great, but people have been hard on him, and I still think he's probably going to be the guy over there. But if Teddy can play and he can start, you have a really good interior line all of a sudden. You got Ben Scott, you got Turner Corcoran, and then you got an option. Yeah, you got Nuri, you got Ethan Pipe, you got real depth in the interior line. And then, but a lot of that requires Teddy to be healthy.
I agree.
They could have a pretty good offensive line next year if he's healthy, because you get the kid back, you get Willie back.
Yep. Sam, as always, appreciate it. Have a great week.
Take care.
If you could get, just two guys we talked about on that offense side of the ball.
Yeah.
You get double-figure starts this year out of Thomas Fidone and Teddy Prohaska.
Mm-hmm.
It's at least a start. Those are two guys that were key cogs in a recruiting class recently that haven't been able to consistently stay on the field. I think what Sam said about Teddy is something about Casey Thompson yesterday, and I might have caught people a little bit off guard that he said Casey will be limited throwing. I think physically he'll go through spring, but I could tell yesterday, and the way that Rule talked about injuries, is he doesn't want availability is everything.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want guys that they bring back way too soon. Like Teddy came back way too soon off the knee injury last year. Okay, way too soon. He probably should have, the first time he was on the field was the Oklahoma game. Now, his injury that knocked him out for the year was not the knee, but he was rusty at the beginning.
Yeah.
He should not have played probably until Oklahoma, but you knew the circumstances. Nebraska was in a must-win situation, so they rushed him back. And he's a kid that wants to play football, so he's like, yeah, you know what? Okay, I'll work through it, even though I'm not 100%. It's just kind of, you got the insight with Rule yesterday, is they don't want, Casey Thompson's not 100%, and they don't want to see him until he's 100%. And they also don't want to bring him back at not 100%, and all of a sudden let's say you're 90%, and you get dinged up again, and you're back to 75%, because I can tell that with the medical staff and Rule, that if guys, and this is probably a little bit from the NFL background, if the medical staff is delivering guys to the football field, they need to stay on the football field and not get re-injured the same injury.
Yeah.
So the conservative approach in this case, I agree with, and I think that'll be the mindset moving forward, where you don't have a guy that's playing way too soon and all of a sudden he gets crushed because he's like, well, he just can't block. What happened to him? Well, he wasn't ready to play last year at Northwestern. He shouldn't have been playing in that situation at that position.
Yeah, and yesterday when he was talking about, and I guarantee you there were so many fans that got excited when he talked about the spring being very physical. He was looking forward to that. Look, Travis said as much as well when he's talked about it. So they're obviously in lockstep with what this spring is going to look like, and you knew that with the scholarship situation. But he also was quick to say the best thing that he can give these players right now is their health. And that's not necessarily meaning he's stepping back on or, backtracking on a physical spring, but it's going to be a physical spring for those who are 100%. And I think that's exactly how you'd want it. I mean, think about it. If you're a fan, would you want, if this thing is going to be, full competition, physical, it's going to be, it's going to be men that are battling men every day as much as they can be in pads. Do you want somebody out there who's 75%? Do you want somebody out there who's even 80%? To your point, do you want that sort of, one step forward, two steps back again, especially in key areas, offensive line, quarterback? Those are big positions for Nebraska. So what you might miss in the full 100% reps, you're still being a part of it. He talked a lot about that clean slate again yesterday, whether you believe that or not. It's still going to be physical, but for guys that need to kind of take this, and even Thomas Fidone talked about how he was going to be scaled back. It's tough for him to kind of be scaled back a little bit, but that was the one thing that Rule, on top of a physical spring, was emphasizing was the best thing he can give him is their health.
All right, coming up a little bit later, Brian Christopherson will stop by. We'll pick his brain on some of the thoughts that he got out of yesterday's little brief presser, which is a little nice. Little dropping of football in middle of March Madness. BC will join us. Darren DeVries, and basketball coach at Drake. D-Rock, former Creighton assistant. He has taken the Bulldogs back to the NCAA tournament for the second time in 3 years. This year as the MVC champions, along with his son. And we'll get into how old his basketball team is over in Des Moines. D-Rock will join us coming up at 9:30 on Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Full tilt basketball going on. We got conference tournaments. ACC starts today. In fact, you can make your lunch plans over at DJ's Dugout and start watching all of the college basketball conference tournaments. We've got the big one starting next week with the tournament as well. And the best place to watch is DJ's Dugout with that media wall, all games going on simultaneously. There is not a bad spot in the house. And enjoy $12 domestic buckets today as well. And also don't forget, being in the Lenten season, DJ's Dugout has a great new Lenten menu. Anything from fish and shrimp entrees, including their fish and fries, or fish and shrimp basket, even fish tacos and more. 7 metro area locations, DJ's Dugout, locally in Vietnam, veteran-owned. Dig in at the Dugout.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley returns in minutes on 1620 The Zone. Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com.
From sports medicine to spine, bone, and joint problems, Nebraska Medicine is your home for the region's most comprehensive orthopedic care. Our specialists have the unmatched expertise to diagnose and treat common and complex problems, with surgery being a last resort. With multiple locations, our leading care is miles ahead, yet close to home. For orthopedic advances, this is where you begin. Visit nebraskamed.com/ortho.
Home is with you wherever that may be.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, trunk lids, license plate holders, and headlights. They've got lots of headlights. When you need parts, get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. eBay Motors. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Start your engines.
Joe's Indoor Karting in Council Bluffs is off the charts crazy. Joe's Karting is fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing action at over 40 miles per hour. The only speed restriction on these karts is how good you are. Joe's Karting is located just a couple of blocks north of Bass Pro Shop and directly east of AMC Theater in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Go watch a movie. Come race at Joe's. Planning a bachelor party, graduation party, or just a night out with friends? Go to Joe's. Remember, Joe's Karting is your place to race.
MD West 1 and the Ortho and Spine Urgent Care are now open on the southwest corner of 192nd and Dodge. MD West 1 is voted the #1 private medical practice in Omaha for orthopedics, neurosurgery, and spine. MD West 1's new location in Fountain Ridge includes the Ortho and Spine Urgent Care, where walk-ins are welcome. See the specialists directly for any bone, joint, or muscle injury or condition. Go to mdwest1.com for details.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio.
Give your business a whole host of options with Host Coffee. The most impressive selection of office coffee, water options, healthy food options, and vending technologies. Host Coffee, serving you since 72. Be a part of the Host Coffee team today. If you'd like to work for a trusted and loyal family-owned company that understands the needs of working families, Host Coffee has your opportunity. Apply at hostcoffee.net.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, the World Baseball Classic starts tonight. 10 p.m., Cuba and the Netherlands.
Little boy Shafe's going out there, too. He's going to watch a little World Baseball Classic.
You got a favorite?
No, not really.
You paying attention to the World Baseball Classic?
I don't get into it as much. No, I really don't. I'm just it's always that kind of it's an odd time because there's spring training going on too, and it's college baseball going on too. Yeah, it's kind of secondary when it comes to my baseball thirst, if you will. You get into it?
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's mammoth.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first time since they've been doing it that I think Major League Baseball has gone all in on promoting it.
Which I think is great.
Now, in the past, I've been involved in it, and I've gone to a game where you have the U.S. playing. Well, I saw them play Puerto Rico, and Marlins Stadium was insane.
Mm-hmm.
It was nonstop noise the entire game. I mean, the atmosphere was like everything you see when in Latin America with how they love baseball. And so, yeah, I'm going to watch, and I love that the U.S. had. I mean, Trout's playing, Trey Turner, the best of the best. Otani the Angels are allowing Otani to play for Japan. I mean, the Dominican Republic team is absolutely loaded. And then Venezuela has Acuna. I mean,
it can become addicting if you have the itch for some baseball. I have watched before in the past, and then you're like, okay, yeah, it's fun because they get into it. Doesn't sound sleepy. In some ways, it kind of reminds me a different way of playoff baseball. So yeah, if you have that itch, it's pretty good.
I'll dabble maybe. You guys you're selling it for me, but still, yeah, it's just not something that I'm like counting down the days to United States play or watching the Dominican Republic, where even Puerto Rico too. So
Dominican Republic has Soto, Rodriguez in their lineup. I'm glad that Major League Baseball is promoting it this year, and it'll be going on for the next couple of weeks. And I think Dominican Republic and the U.S. will be in the final. Japan will be a close one. When you got Otani and Darvish pitching back-to-back for Japan, and they're going to let Otani hit and pitch, and there's no limit on how many innings he can pitch.
Yeah.
That would scare me a little, but you know what? Whatever.
People are talking about baseball.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true.
That's the big thing.
That's the good thing here.
We're going to talk about practice coming up in the next hour as well. A little bit later on, Brian Christopherson and Darren DeVries stop by. Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, the 2023 Mazda CX-30 you can catch right now at Woodhouse Mazda Omaha, Metro's exclusive Mazda dealers. This is a one-of-a-kind design in the CUV lineup that Mazda has. It's going to bring you heightened performance and, best of all, greater fuel efficiency. All of the Mazda CUVs, they come with that standard iActive all-wheel drive, which gives you the peace of mind no matter where your travel is going to take you. And this in particular, monitoring the vehicle dynamics to make sure that you are getting the most grip to help you maintain traction in any road condition, whatever it might be. And with 7 trim levels to choose from, there is a Mazda CX-30 for your lifestyle. So stop in today. 2 convenient locations to choose from with Woodhouse Mazda in Bellevue and Woodhouse Place Mazda in Millard. You can shop, finance, and buy online at woodhousemazda.com or WoodhousePlaceMazda.com. Sales experience second to none with a friendly and knowledgeable sales staff, no pressure sales, and a streamlined process that will save you time. Chat with a sales team member online, easily schedule a test drive, and check vehicle availability and more. Woodhouse Mazda, a drive worth experiencing.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a little bit of slowdown from 94th to 77th along Dodge. Then on Center, be prepared for a minor delay from 180th to 168th. And on Highway 370, be prepared for a significant delay from 150th Street to the I-80 East ramp. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Lus Hills Harley-Davidson.
Riding season is here, and it's time to trade in and trade up. Or, if you ain't riding it, Lus Hills Harley-Davidson is buying it. Sell your Harley-Davidson today. Lus Hills Harley-Davidson. Rise up and ride on.
Email us on the Equitable inbox with whatever is on your mind. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can hit me up, agree, disagree, tell me your thoughts on life at Handley at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Did you know that radon is the #1 cause of lung cancer for non-smokers and that our region has some of the highest levels in the country? Radon Defense Midwest can test and fix your home. Visit radonradio.com for an exclusive offer for 1620 The Zone listeners. That's radonradio.com.
One of the Nebraska Lottery's most explosively fun promotions is back. Cash Blast. Until April 18th, buy a 2x2 ticket, enter the voucher number, and you could win $5,000 or $500. If your winning voucher is from a 7-day draw ticket or a multiple of 7 ticket, your prize is doubled. There will be 7 weekly drawings and 14 total winners in Cash Blast. So play today. You'll have a blast. But that goes without saying. 2x2 top prize odds, 1 in 105,000.
My husband and I love to live in Nebraska.
It's the good life.
We always vacation here.
Love those Nebraska state parks.
We love to eat here.
Where are you going to get a better steak?
And we love to play here, especially Nebraska Pick 5 from the Nebraska Lottery. It has a $50,000 starting jackpot, drawing 7 days a week, and all the proceeds go back to our state.
Hey, honey, this weekend, let's buy some Nebraska Pick 5 tickets, go to a state park, and grill some steaks.
Like our first date.
I'm no amateur.
Top prize odds, 1 in 501,000.
If you love attending live events, whether it's a big-time sporting event or seeing your favorite artist in concert, then you need to check out my friends at Tickets for Less and their app. It's absolutely free. It brings all of your favorite things about ticketsforless.com straight to your fingertips in one convenient location. Plus, all new users get a special discount code sent directly to your phone just for downloading the app and signing up. So simply search Tickets for Less in your app store, download the free app, and sign up for your discount. It's really that easy. Ticketsforless.com.
College basketball is in full swing and gearing up for the college basketball tournament. Watch it all season long at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill. Of course, Oscar's serves great pizza, but don't forget about their award-winning charred buff wings or even their delicious fish and chips. Perfect for Friday nights. Dine in or carry out at 173rd and West Center. Carry out at 162nd and Maple, and order online at oscarsomaha.com.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Tickets for Less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Halftime brought to you by Heart Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off 680 and 48th Street, next to Cubby's. It's Heart Cigars and Pipes Lounge.
Is this from your home collection?
What is this? Is something out of like Napoleon Dynamite?
No, it sounds like
No.
it. It's Tool. It's called Intermission. It leads into a really sweet guitar riff in the next song.
Oh,
But talking about baseball made me think of this.
it's kind of okay.
Yeah.
Kind of an organ little
Yeah.
sound to it. Okay.
Welcome back in 8:11 on a Tuesday morning. Last hour, we talked to Doug Woodard, head basketball coach at Bellevue West, up on the radio replay page. You can always join the conversation, 951-1620, or in the Equitable Bank inbox. We'll always take an email or two, or three, or four, and read them on the air. Gary at 1620thezone.com, Handley at 1620thezone.com, or, of course, on Twitter at Gary Sharp 1620, or at Nick 1620. Brian Christopherson and Darren DeVries coming up a little bit later. Also, Jimmy's got a update coming, and more on Omaha women's basketball plays in the Summit League final today. So they play at 1 o'clock. They play South Dakota State in Sioux Falls. Second time in 3 years they've been in the final. Does anybody know that they're in the final?
Well, Jimmy mentioned it during the deuce. But yeah, I was looking last night just to see if they'd made it. No, our boy John calling the action as well. But
I'm sure he packed accordingly.
Isn't this crazy?
Your point, though.
So they are.
Yes.
So second time, if Nebraska or Creighton women were playing in their conference finals in their tournament, it would probably lead off our show.
Yeah. You would know about it.
The Omaha women, who for the second time in the last 3 years, and they were preseason last in the conference, their pick. A lot of unknown about them. But Elena Pilacuda and Grace Cave from Weeping Water are two of their better players. They went in as a 6 seed. They beat the 3 seed. Then yesterday they beat the 10 seed. And for the second time in 3 years, they're playing in the final. And they'll play South Dakota
State.
They play South Dakota State. I was trying to think of who I think they played either South Dakota State or South Dakota their last time. And South Dakota State has won 20 games against 0 losses in the Summit League.
Mm-hmm.
But they have Omaha women's basketball has no presence whatsoever. This actually should be a big deal. And maybe we're telling on ourselves for not talking about it, but we're not the only ones. Nobody is talking about this.
Right.
I don't know if I doubt like the TV stations will go to Sioux Falls.
They briefly mentioned it on Channel 6 and moved on.
The World Herald probably, I don't know, Gene's going up to Sioux Falls. They don't really have like a monster fan base.
Right.
But it's a weird balance of they've been in the Summit League tournament for 2 of the last 3 years, which is a big deal. I mean, if it was men's basketball, we were talking about this off air earlier, that everybody in town would be talking about.
Yeah.
You'd
be there.
Yeah, I'd be there. but no one is talking about this, and I think it's a direct reflection of, they have no presence in the community, which is weird because they do have in-state and local kids on their roster. But does anybody know who the head coach is? I mean, that's probably a problem. You don't know who the head coach is. It's weird because this is like they could go to the NCAA tournament for the first time. And from an athletic department that has been really good on the women's side. They're on a nice run of Omaha athletics where their women's teams are doing well, whether it be Tim Waters with soccer all the way, through volleyball. Matt Buttermore, volleyball is back in the Summit League final. They're on the cusp of going to the NCAA tournament. And, softball is really, really good. It's just strange how this is like not really a big deal.
No, you're right.
You can watch them on TV and everything. And if they
on what ESPN,
the
women are on ESPN2 or ESPNU?
Yeah. Like think about the first time that Omaha made it. Obviously, Sharpie knows this one very well, but I went out there that night, kind of had the whole day planned around it. But I remember talking to friends, and they were gearing their evening around that ESPN2 broadcast and getting to sports bars, having watch parties when they were playing South Dakota State that night. Like, for one moment during that season, Omaha men's basketball sort of cornered everything else because you didn't have Creighton playing. You didn't have Nebraska playing. So it was very similar to when Nebraska or Creighton is playing in a big game. People were talking about it all day long. Even fast forward to when they played North Dakota State, where you really felt they had a shot to win because this time you didn't have the home court advantage for South Dakota State. And you felt like, okay, Omaha could really get this done. And it was exactly the same. Everybody was revolving their evening around watching that game. There was a buzz all day leading up to the tip here in Omaha. How many people even remember that Omaha women's basketball was in the Summit League final 2 years ago?
Yeah, well, that was a little odd because it was the COVID year and you couldn't.
Right.
It was like friends and family that could go, and they weren't playing. They were playing at the Pentagon. But like this year, there's no. I mean, you might go to a sports bar today, and it's Granted, this is another problem with the Summit League. The Summit League has no presence in Omaha.
Right.
I'll get to the couple of things I learned about the Summit League when I was in Sioux Falls over the weekend. Is there's no promotion here, so you don't.
You would know about it.
Yeah, if you don't pick up the paper or you don't listen to John, you have no idea that they're still playing. It's just kind of weird. I think it's a little bit of they have a extremely small fan base. They don't really promote women's basketball, and you don't know much about the team. They're not really out there. Like the head coach, most people don't even know who her name is. But yet she's been, she was hired by Trev, Carrie Banks, and she's been to the Summit League final 2 of the last 3 years. Now they got a heck of a challenge today. But
it's March.
I mean,
you never know.
There aren't many mid-major programs that can say that they've been to it, and they went as I think it was an 8 seed 2 years ago, and they're going as a 6 seed today.
And like John had said last week, considering where the season started with some of the blowout losses that they had to be in this position, it's actually a pretty remarkable story that nobody knows about. That's kind of why I threw a little dig. Hey, you can watch it on TV because you talked about it last week. You can never find them on TV, any of the Summit League games. So this is a big deal.
Especially women's basketball, if you're not South Dakota State, which is the premier program along with South Dakota, who had a down year in that league.
I wonder.
Curious observation. It's kind of, I don't know. There's the good and there's probably a lot more bad that you would not know they're in the final.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little bit on the promotion of the program and the program in general with the head coach.
Yeah,
it's not the people's fault.
I would think that, if you're a little bit more front and center about what you're doing in the postseason, if there's a little more attachment to that program, then there's a little more excitement. You're drumming up a little more excitement. 1 o'clock basketball too.
You can give yourself the afternoon off.
Hey, again, we don't see them like from the men's side because they used to play double headers, and now we don't. I think we had a doubleheader this year in the non-con, so that's the only time that I've ever crossed paths with a women's basketball. I mean, we don't see them at all.
Yeah,
is probably a lot of people gave up on them. Their first game of the year was at Nebraska, and they got run out of the building. And I think they're still below 500.
Yes.
With the record, but you can't deny 2 trips to the Summit League final in 3 years. And I mean, it'll be tough today, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do make it interesting. Elena Pilacuda is a beast down low. I mean, you get the ball in the paint, there are not many people in college basketball at the mid-major level that are going to be able to slow her down.
Which is great to see because she has been from day one.
She's been there for 12 years.
Very raw, and she has developed into a hell of a player. I just know this. If Creighton was in a similar situation today at 1 o'clock for the Big East finals, even though I know they played last night, but if they played today, or obviously we know if Nebraska was playing at 1 o'clock, you would have multiple media outlets there covering. There would, again, that buzz that I mentioned about even when the men's basketball team was in the Summit League tournament finals a couple times.
I mean, Gary's going to Chicago if they play Saturday.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
We're leaving at 6.
Right now that is kind of lacking, and it's disappointing. And I don't think a lot of that has to do with, but they're playing South Dakota State, and South Dakota State's an absolute beast. So cool that they made it, but I'm not holding out hope. I don't think that's it, because to your original question, how many people realize that Omaha is in that conference final to begin with?
Bellevue West Joey, who probably has loved this talk today, writes in, I'll be honest, I know nothing about Omaha women's basketball. Saw the 10 o'clock news last night. They briefly showed highlights from the semis. Saw they won while I was in Sioux Falls, and I was asked about them, and I was like a deer in the headlights. Wish I knew more about them because I definitely would have went to a game.
Yeah.
They've got to promote themselves. Like that, a lot of that has to do with the head coach being out in the community and stuff like that. Like, I give credit when Chris Crutchfield took over, and Darren Hansen was fantastic. Even though he's a guy that lived in Bellevue forever, and everybody knows DH. DH still was out in the community. So whenever you saw him, you thought about Omaha men's basketball. Chris Crutchfield moves back to Omaha, and Crutch and his team were everywhere. I mean, everywhere in the offseason. They were at community events. They were at parades. They were out promoting. He was speaking events. He was playing golf with people. I mean, he was promoting his program. And that's a little bit, some coaches don't see that as their obligation. But at that level, it is. And I think that's a problem with women's basketball is the head coach doesn't get out and promote the program, even though they have something to, they've got definitely something to sell, and they've got local players on their roster. So I mean, it'd be an incredible accomplishment if they were able to pull off that today, because they're going to play probably before 8,000 to 10,000 people in Sioux Falls. Now, Oral Roberts caught a huge break last night. North Dakota State, for the 5th straight year, is going to the Summer League Final. And they are, this time of the year, Dave Richmond is money. They have a 6'11" player who's getting a lot of NBA hype, Grant Nelson. Probably will also get a lot of hype for, hey, why don't you go in the portal? But they have a really good program at North Dakota State. And last night, they dominated South Dakota State. They dominated South Dakota State, and they're playing a road game. Okay? And I'll be honest, I think Omaha gave North Dakota State the blueprint on how to beat South Dakota State, because Zeke Mayo wasn't good. They played really well on defense. William Kyle III was neutralized for the 2nd straight game. But what it does is it averts what could have been a major, Oral Roberts could still get beat tonight. That's very much a possibility, but the league needs Oral Roberts to be in the tournament, because Oral Roberts is on the cusp of being a top 25 team. It's unheard of in the Summit League. I think it's been since 87 that a Summit League team has been ranked. And Oral Roberts has a chance to go into the tournament and win a game or two as an 11 seed, which again is unheard of in the Summit League. The metrics aren't great to get an at-large if they're knocked out because they play in the Summit League. Summit League doesn't help them. But here's the other part of, they averted something last night with North Dakota State's win, is if Oral Roberts had to play South Dakota State in Sioux Falls to go to the NCAA tournament, their head coach, who already is not happy that the tournament is there and the format, it would have been ruthless on him. Now, he's not super popular in Sioux Falls. Paul Mills is his name. But for them to have to play a true road game to go to the tournament, he would have been beside himself, especially if they would have lost.
Well, and you've seen this. You've seen this in the finals, being down on the floor when UNO played in their first one. Omaha played in their first one against South Dakota State. I remember watching that in the stands, and you felt like you were at a South Dakota State home game.
Well, yeah, Saturday night was a prime example.
Yeah.
There were, I don't know, maybe 40 Omaha fans there.
And they take over that hotel. I mean, it's the blue and gold is everywhere.
Yeah, the South Dakota State fans, they save up all year to go to that tournament, and good on them.
Jackrabbit Invitational,
but it has an impact.
Yeah,
and so Paul Mills is really kind of the first coach publicly to do this, and Bellevue West Joey was up there on Saturday night, and there were some other people that I know listened to our show that for the first time they went up to Sioux Falls and they put on a really good experience. And I like the city.
It looks like
Falls.
fun.
I like the city of Sioux Falls. It's a really nice arena. I like the Summit League people.
Great setup.
But prepare yourself. Paul Mills, who has got a program, that they think they're going to be in the NCAA tournament every year. He's the first coach to publicly say, we need to get out of Sioux Falls. There are other people, because I heard it more from not just the Oral Roberts people, but people from the Dakotas that say, yeah, we might have to start looking at making this more of a neutral site tournament, maybe a Minneapolis, maybe an Omaha, maybe a Kansas City, possibly to move the tournament out of Sioux Falls. They make a lot of money. It's the signature thing for the league. They've got a brand new commissioner who is forward thinking, that is going to do big things for the Summit League.
Likes Omaha too.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have a very good media deal that's going to come out before the next basketball season. So they got a commissioner that is open to ideas, but that community latches onto that tournament, and they make so much money for the city of Sioux Falls. If they get that tournament out of Sioux Falls, oh my. But don't be surprised if you start hearing like the XL Energy Center being the host of the Summit League tournament in like 2 years or so. There is more. I've never in my time going up there have I heard more people complain about the tournament being in Sioux Falls and the advantage for South Dakota State.
It's a major advantage.
And South Dakota.
Yeah. I mean, and it's funny you bring up the XL Energy Center too, because again, with Josh Fenton, what he came from, the NCHC, very good relationship with the city of Minnesota, the Twin Cities, and St. Paul, and being able to sort of incorporate that too. With St. Thomas being a part of this, even Kansas City, like I think of if it's in Omaha, if it's in Kansas City, if it's in Minneapolis, those schools aren't still going to have the same type of home court advantage or bring the same type of fan base into an arena environment that South Dakota State would constantly do at the Sanford Premier Center. So I can understand. I would assume that even North Dakota and North Dakota State are not thrilled with this.
North Dakota State hasn't traveled well.
Nope.
They're playing in the final. They
do.
Yeah, they haven't traveled very well this year. Now they're not the number 1 or number 2 seed. They're the 3 seed. They didn't have a great year. But there's, this time of the year they play well in Sioux Falls. Yeah, they didn't. There weren't a lot of fans in green and gold.
What was their seed the year that Omaha played them in the final?
4.
And that surprised me watching that game. I thought, okay, North Dakota State's still going to have more fans than Omaha, but man, it was scarce between those two.
So the other day before I went up to Sioux Falls, I was ragging on the Summit League, and I've been hard on them. I mean, the former commissioner and I basically got into an argument on the air 2013 in Macomb, Illinois, because I was curious about the league and I was asking about the TV contract. And he goes, well, you know what? We take care of our South Dakota and North Dakota schools. I was like, excuse me? So he's no longer there.
Yeah.
They hit a home run with the new commissioner. I mean, I think he's going to think big. If I was him, I would go big with the Summit League, that I'm a men's basketball conference and we're going to pour tons of resources into it. And we're going to try and every 2 or 3 or 4 years, get 2 teams into the NCAA tournament. But then I'm going to go a step further. This is what I would do if I was Josh Fenton. I would do Summit League hockey and I would do Summit League football. I would say, you know what? 2 of the best FCS programs don't play under the Summit League football umbrella because we don't have Summit League football. So a couple of the biggest brands in all of college hockey, Denver and UND, they don't play Summit League hockey. I just came from that league, which is the best hockey conference in America, the NCHC, which Omaha is part of. We're going to have Summit League hockey. I think this commissioner's thinking big about this conference because he has to, because there's all these murmurs out there about Omaha to the Missouri Valley Conference or North Dakota State and South Dakota State because of football going to the Mountain West. I think they're going to do big things in the Summit League. I really do believe that. But the biggest would be if they move that tournament out of South Dakota. That would be mammoth.
I don't want to make it sound like you know this better than anyone because you've been there every year, but it's a great venue. And even when you do have to play South Dakota State and you're overwhelmed by the home court advantage, my interactions with South Dakota State fans have always been pleasant. It's not like it's a nasty, abrasive fan base. It's not like the arena's a dump. Like they do a good job of putting on the tournament there. I don't want anybody to think that that's where I'm coming from on my maybe displeasure for it. It's a good situation, but that's the beauty of conference tournaments is you're supposed to have a little bit more of that neutral site feel. And if you just have a very large fan base that decides to travel, so be it. Okay, that's on you. Good on your fan base. But when that caters itself to the South Dakota State programs more than any other programs in the conference, that's a problem. And if you're looking to evolve, you got to think about other opportunities, and especially with now Kansas City being a part of it, Omaha, which is a good neutral, centrally located area too. Or if you want to go up now with St. Thomas affiliation, go up to the Twin Cities. There's some great opportunities and possibilities there.
All right, coming up next, we have Brian Christopherson coming up in about 30 minutes. Darren DeVries in an hour. But Matt Rule talked about practice yesterday. Wonder how Matt Rule and Allen Iverson approach practice.
That's all I hear when you say that.
Plus, Jimmy's got an update on Mornings with Sharp and Handley at 1620 The Zone. Woodhouse Buick GMC, located at 119th and I. You're looking for your next vehicle, new or pre-owned, car, truck, or SUV, you can find it today at Woodhouse Buick GMC, 119th and I, or online at woodhousebuickgmc.com. They streamline the entire process. They want to make it easy on you. They know you don't have a lot of time. You don't want to spend a lot of time finding the vehicle that's right for you, the one you want, and also financially. So they'll walk you through the entire process in person or online. Do it today, 119th and I, or online at woodhousebuickgmc.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. The Connor Happer Show.
No disrespect to Frankie Muniz. Do you think that I could become a good race car driver pretty quickly? I know he's been doing this for all of his life, but I like to consider myself a pretty good driver. I'm an excellent driver. What's so good about Frankie Muniz? Like, how did Frankie Muniz decide he was going to be a NASCAR driver? Is he just a good driver? And those things have manual transmissions, right? Mm-hmm. That'd be tough. I think that'd probably disqualify me.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Another cloudy and cool day ahead for Tuesday. Breezy at times with east winds gusting 10 to 20 miles per hour. Highs in the low to mid 40s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. On 1620 The Zone.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a significant slowdown along eastbound I-680 to the I-80 north and west ramps. Then northbound along the JFK, be prepared for a little bit of slowdown near 25th and Q Street. And on Industrial Road, be prepared for a minor delay from 149th to 144th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time, Saving Traffic is brought to you by Prairie Construction.
Are you or someone you know in the commercial construction business and your job's hit a dead end? Are you ready for a new job with a quality construction company? Well, maybe it's time to make that change, and Prairie Construction might be just right for you. Learn about us at prairie-construction.com.
Since 1878, the dream of the Creighton family was to build a top-ranked educational institution in the finest Jesuit tradition. Over the years, the diverse, famous, and not-so-famous have shaped our society in a variety of ways. 1620 The Zone is proud to be the home of an important part of the Creighton tradition, Blue Jay Athletics. For almost 9,000 students and alumni all over the world, we say, Go Jays on 1620 The Zone.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $22 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, 401k, and a $2,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Kugler Vision. There is so much to do in Omaha in the spring, whether it's going to the ballpark, hiking on any of the local trails, or just hanging out on the patio and enjoying the breeze with friends. Why not see all of those things and more with the best vision you have had in your entire life? Kugler Vision, the only place in Nebraska that specializes in all 7 FDA-approved forms of modern vision correction. Schedule a consultation online today at kuglervision.com.
College basketball is in full swing and gearing up for the college basketball tournament. Watch it all season long at Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill. Of course, Oscar's serves great pizza, but don't forget about their award-winning charred buff wings or even their delicious fish and chips. Perfect for Friday nights. Dine in or carry out at 173rd and West Center. Carry out at 162nd and Maple, and order online at oscarsomaha.com.
Your 17th ranked Omaha Maverick hockey team hosts the NCHC playoffs for the first time since the opening of Baxter Arena. The Mavs take on the North Dakota Fighting Hawks this Friday and Saturday with a trip to the Frozen Face-Off on the line. All tickets for the playoffs are only $15 and they're going fast. So get your tickets today and let's rock the Baxter. Get your tickets by calling 402-554-MAVS or at omavs.com/tickets.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
And we're back. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Here's Gary, Nick, and Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. It's time for The Deuce with Jimmy Chavez on 1620 The Zone. All the headlines you need in 2 minutes or less.
Yes, Omaha women's basketball is, in fact, playing for a conference championship and an automatic NCAA tournament bid today. The 6th-seeded Mavs beat Kansas City yesterday and will face top-seeded South Dakota State, winners of 20 straight, to win 18-0 in Summit League play. Tip-off in Sioux Falls is at 1 o'clock. You can hear the game on 1180 The Zone and actually watch it on your television on ESPNU. Nebraska Ball's Jamarcus Lawrence was selected as the Big Ten Conference Freshman of the Week for the first time in his career. He averaged 15 points on 63% shooting, nearly 5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game in 2 games last week. He set or tied season highs in points, field goals made, assists, and 3-pointers, and helping the Huskers to a road win over Iowa, as well as the loss to Michigan State. He's the first Husker to receive a Big Ten Weekly Award this season of any kind and is Nebraska's first freshman honored since Bryce McGowan's won the award 8 times last season. Nebraska baseball opens a 10-game homestand today with a 2-game series against Northern Colorado Hawks Field. 4:05 today, 2:05 tomorrow. The rest of the homestand includes 3 games this weekend with Illinois State, 1 game next week against Omaha, and 4 games next weekend against Nichols. In the NFL, you heard just before the end of yesterday's show, Derek Carr headed to New Orleans to play for the Saints. He's agreed to a 4-year contract that could be worth up to $150 million. Looks like the Chiefs will not be using their franchise tag on left tackle Orlando Brown. That means he'll become a free agent. Brown and the Chiefs couldn't agree on a long-term contract last offseason, so he played this past season under the franchise tag, earning about $16.5 million. The two sides have until March 13th to work out terms before Brown can begin negotiating with other teams. Another player who might not be returning to the Super Bowl champions is defensive end Frank Clark. It's looking likely that they will release him. 2 players who received the franchise tag yesterday, Cowboys running back Tony Pollard and Jaguars tight end Evan Ingram. And the Ravens and Lamar Jackson have until 3:30 today to get something done. Otherwise, they'll put the franchise tag on him.
Orlando Brown would look really good in a Chicago Bears uniform.
You know what? I think you have a good chance to get him.
That might be one of their big ticket items.
I think
the salary cap.
Yeah, I think the Bears or the Patriots would be a spot for Orlando Brown. And the Chiefs. So, I don't know, I mean, before there's addition, there's deletions, and all of a sudden contracts disappear, and it's just a piece of paper. Now, essentially, it's not. I mean, you're getting paid and all that stuff, but you guys know what I mean. Is that cap is movable. The Saints were $49 million in the hole, and they just did the deal with Derek Carr. So the cap could be maneuvered.
Yes.
But the Orlando Brown, like the Frank Clark, is not surprising because that's too much of a hit. And you know, he's been great in the postseason. He's got two Super Bowl championships. Thank you. But this is the part of doing business, and you have to move on. The Orlando Brown is a little bit surprising because I thought they would work out a deal, but they must really like a couple of offensive tackles that they saw at the Combine. I mean, Jones from Ohio State, who's got one of the longest wingspans we've seen in a while, or Houston, the tackle for a starter for 3 years at Oklahoma, where Creed Humphrey was. They must like them at 32 and start with, you know, a guy that's going to protect the backside of Patrick Mahomes and Wiley. You got to keep on the other side. But I think you have a good shot with Orlando Brown.
Yeah.
I think Orlando Brown in Chicago would be a really good fit.
Yeah. I would like, well, I mean, thinking of the offensive linemen and some of the guys that, you know, hopefully are getting healthy too, that would be a huge addition because it's always the shiny toys that I know a lot of fans get excited about during free agency when you do have a cap situation that Chicago has right now. But if you want to know exactly what you have at Justin Fields, you got to start at the front. You got to start right there and then work your way out because there'll be a name or two that they look at with wide receiver as well. But if they're looking to also address that in the draft, I would look at the high-end free agent offensive lineman first and foremost.
After the Chiefs lost to Tampa Bay and the way they lost in that Super Bowl, look what they did exactly after that, and it's paid off ever since. And if people are worried, they're going to release Frank Clark, hey, that team, that management team knows exactly what they're doing. Look what happened with the Tyreek Hill deal, and they won another Super Bowl.
Brett Veach he's good at his job.
The only thing I worry about is a little bit different blocking for Patrick Mahomes. He's not the normal quarterback, and so that takes a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But Frank Clark, not surprising. Orlando Brown, just a little bit, because I thought Veach's comments last week in Indy that they could have got something done, but they must be far, far apart. It's the part of doing business. I mean, Geno Smith, good on him.
Yeah.
At the age of 33, gets a 3-year, $105 million deal. It makes a couple of quarterback deals like Mahomes look cheap, or the Ravens look really bad that they had Lamar for 6 for 133.
Yeah. And now you wonder what they're going to do in the first round. I mean, are they still going to pursue a quarterback? Because they got 2 first-round picks. Are you going to go back into the first round feeling like you got Geno? Yeah. Feeling like you got Geno now, that you still do address quarterback at some point here, because they were one of those teams that was considered to be possibly in the mix of looking for one of the guys that we've talked about.
We talked about Richardson the other day. And
Yeah, I think now that's probably off. I mean,
you would think so.
Well,
you're invested in that.
You would be sitting him for a while.
Yeah.
And you don't pay Geno Smith 3 years, $105 to play for 1 year.
Unless you don't feel, and that's that
you don't know. You don't make a commitment.
You're not
don't make a commitment, then go draft another quarterback.
If you think
to build a team,
if you think he is okay, a 1 year, just flash in the pan, everything worked out, you're not financially committing like that. So, I think that pretty much takes Seattle out of it. But
you think they'll draft the quarterback then?
I'm still keeping an eye on what they could do at the back end of the first round. I wouldn't completely rule it out. I think yesterday's news definitely makes it more unlikely than what it was, but I don't know.
You just hand a massive contract. I mean, it's 3 years, $105 million.
It is.
It's a great story. I mean, where Geno Smith was to get that deal as a comeback player of the year, but now the get-in price for a quarterback in the NFL is $40 million. Like Daniel Jones is up next, and it's 40 to 45 is being rumored, and people are going, "Whoa, is he a $40 to $45 million quarterback?" It's now the price of business for a quarterback in the NFL is $40 million, and you hope that you have a good contract, and it doesn't absolutely handicap you, because look at Ryan Tannehill's cap hit is $38 million this year. Ryan Tannehill, $38 million is the cap hit in Tennessee. The Titans should not only be shopping Derrick Henry to start over, they should be shopping Tannehill as well.
I would agree. And Lamar, that's not going to be resolved anytime soon. That's an 11th hour situation right there.
If that. It's not good.
Not good is Allen Iverson's response to Matt Rule. I don't know if you guys have heard that or not. Matt Rule yesterday was talking about practice being the most important thing they do. And Iverson said, "Rule, we're talking about practice. Practice. We ain't talking about a game. We're talking about practice, man." But Matt Rule, who is all in on practice, Matt Rule is a micromanager. And sometimes that is a negative connotation. You say, well, you got your hands in everything. Matt Rule is he's a micromanager. His hands are in every part of Nebraska football. And probably to make the whole operation as a Fortune 500 company run, you got to have somebody that says, I'm going to be involved in everything. I'm not going to trust my lieutenants to take care of things. I want to know what's going on at all times. And this is what I do. And this is what I want implemented. So in this case, probably as a difference from the previous regime, it's okay. And you've probably seen the result of punctuality is being asked, accountability, because the coach is there all the time. But his comment about practice, he can control practice. He can't control the game, but he can control practice, which hopefully makes the game easier. But the bigger thing to me that he said about practice is that he wants recruits to come watch practice. And the timing of the big late March, or we're already into March, end of this month, when the recruits are here, so they can watch a practice. You've gone to practice, Jimmy, you've gone to practice, I've gone to practices. You can tell if a coach runs a good practice or not. How organized it is, how on point players are.
How many people are just standing around doing nothing as opposed to people constantly doing stuff?
But all of those things, that's a direct reflection on the head coach and his organization. to put a practice plan together and then implement it, and guys know what they're doing. And a bad practice scenario is pretty evident right away. Guys don't know what they're doing. There's a lot of explaining. Everybody's going to teach. There's a lot of teaching going on. That's part of practice, but just knowing where you're supposed to be, where you're going.
Lollygagging.
Yeah, and also to see, but then good practices are coaches are there teaching, okay? Guy makes a mistake, you're teaching. You either pull him aside or you teach on the fly. You're always hands-on, and it's moving, and it's never like just standing around and there's no idle time. There's always something going on.
Right.
So to the eye of the person that is like a non-football or non-basketball or wherever practice you might go to, it's pretty evident if it's a good practice or not. So him saying he wants recruits to come watch them practice, I think it's pretty eye-opening because he's pretty confident that they're going to practice well, and you're going to get a better sense of who these coaches are by watching them hands-on the field. Not on the sidelines trying to win a game they can't control, but control a situation in practice where they can be definitely hands-on. I think that's another little insight into how Matt Rule operates as a micromanager, that he's so confident that practice is the number one thing, that they run practice correctly, that when you come to watch, you're going to learn not only more about what kind of a team they have, but also the people they're putting on the practice. And there are a lot of coaches that don't want outsiders at practice because they get exposed. He just yesterday said, I wish he would have said to media and fans, but he said to recruits, I want you to come watch us practice. Now, recruits, not all of them know if it's good practice or not, but they've been in good practices. They can tell if guys are they don't know what they're doing. They're just standing around. They're not utilizing their ability. He's not afraid to show people a little bit behind the curtain, which hasn't always been the case around here.
You're being taught, first and foremost, in good practices, as you pointed out, which that is something that as a young player, I think you identify. And I think when you're looking at going to a place like Nebraska where you don't have the track record of success to the tune of, a lot of bowl games here as of late, 6+ win seasons, where you're being sold the development, the Matt Rule style of coaching and being developed. So from the time you land to the time you leave the program, you're going to be a much better player. You can see that in practices if it's ran the right way. You can see that, as you point out, taking them off to the side or just teaching, being very hands-on, that goes with the development. So there's the intensity that's always going to be involved, maybe a fun element to practices. When I think of what made Pete Carroll so great at USC, was he was able, the energy, being able to continue to engage with the players. They were constantly flying around. They're moving up and down the field. The whole motion creates emotion. Not one guy was sitting doing nothing. They're all doing stuff. It looked fun. It's a hard game. It's a grown man's game, yet it looked fun. It looked like they were fully engaged. And you had all kinds of different personalities, and everyone is on the same page. That can translate with, I think, even some of the youngest players that maybe, as you pointed out, Sharpie, that don't necessarily know what a great practice is compared to, maybe a good practice. But when you can see the fun, you can see some intensity, and most importantly, the teaching element, that sort of aligns itself with the developmental reputation that Matt Rule has. And so I do think it is a head coach that is doubling down on what he said from the get-go of how they're going to build this thing and how they're going to try to be successful as a program.
Yeah, you know what I would do? All of these youth organizations out there, from basketball to hockey to baseball to volleyball to, whatever sport and youth sports, all of these different fantastic academies that are all throughout our area and do so many good things. I would open up my practices to the public. You've heard me talk about Omaha Sports Academy, and they do this, and there are other basketball academies that do it. If I'm trying to recruit you on that level, on the youth, we're talking, we just talked about college. If I'm trying to recruit you on the youth level, what better way to recruit you than saying, I know you're not part of our organization yet, but hey, come watch our 8th grade practice tonight.
They'll make an impression on you.
Huh.
After that, you'll be like, I really want to be part of that one.
Okay, I see what that coach, he knows what he's doing. Okay. I think that was there's I went below the surface on things that Matt Rule said yesterday. I brought up to Sam the comment about the locker room and giving speeches. That one about you had to go deeper than him just saying practice is the most important thing we do. When he then went and he kind of tied it into Dylan Raiola a little bit without saying anything about Dylan Raiola.
He was careful. He was very careful.
Basically said, come watch how the sausage is made if you're a recruit. You got questions about us, come watch. There are a lot of coaches that, you're supposed to have recruits at practice because that's what you're supposed to do, and they stand on the sideline. He's openly like, hey, come here, and you'll see what we're all about, our identity. Again, he's very enlightening. Connor called him what, a football nerd? I call him a micromanager who just kind of gets it, especially at a place like this that wants so much football.
That's fair.
But the fact that he explains the why will help him when we get to the why in the fall and we ask, why didn't you win? Why didn't this happen? So he's establishing that he's going to answer the why. And I even believe in adversity when the fall happens and things aren't going as well as they're going now, that he'll continue to explain it. And that's a huge, huge step in, again, reaching out to the fan base first and saying, I'll make the first move instead of you making the first move.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, the micromanager of the negative connotation, because I'm assuming everybody in this room has had some type of run-in with a micromanager in some walk of life. How many of the micromanagers that you've ever worked with where you kind of walk away like, come on, man, have ever explained the why? Of, no, this is how I do it. That's not how we're doing it. This is how we do it. How many of them actually explain the why?
No.
That is where I think you can take somebody who is detailed. Hell, he led off the press conference thanking people in the video department, thanking guys like Nick Burkhardt. You know, that
Former
to me
Omaha
shows
Maverick.
Exactly. That to me shows me he's got his hand in everything, but it's not a bad thing. He's overseeing everything. He wants to know what's going in, what's going out. But if you are saying why, you're letting everyone know this is why, this is what, that goes a long way, because it gives you an idea of this is what he's about, gives you a little bit more idea of what you should expect and kind of the standard that you're holding yourself to as well. It's as long as it's positioned the right way, which I get the feeling it is, at least as of now, that can be a very powerful environment. I really feel that way.
All right, Brian Christopherson, Darren DeVries coming up in the last hour of Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone. All right, college basketball is here. Big East tournament, Big Ten tournament, Summit League tournament, all kinds of tournaments. NCAA tournament in Des Moines, in Kansas City, in Denver. They're all around us, and you can be part of it all. All you have to do is go to my good friends at ticketsforless.com, and they will take care of you. If you're looking for the best seats for the college basketball postseason, you can find them at ticketsforless.com. Find the best selection, and don't forget, never any per ticket fees. That's right. With Tickets for Less, you never have to worry about that. So you can also download their free app at ticketsforless.com. And you on your app store, find the app, and you'll get a special discount as well. Plus, at checkout, use my promo code TheZone for an even better deal. Ticketsforless.com.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone.
Hey, everybody, it's Michael Severe for Rotella's Italian Bakery at 108th and Harrison. That's where you get the great smells. The smells are free. Of course, you got to pay for the bread, but the bread is so good. For 100 years now, Rotella's and their family has supplied Omaha and Nebraska and so many other places with amazing bread. For us, you know, it's simple. A loaf of white bread every single week. That's what we go through, whether it is French toast in the morning or it's sandwiches. Rotella's Italian Bakery bread has got you set up for what you need to do with your family. And the great thing is there's a variety, whether it's ciabatta or you're looking for a sourdough or you're looking for wheat, whatever it is, they have you covered at Rotella's. Head over to 108th and Harrison, where you can actually walk in, and again, smells are free. You got to pay for the bread, or any of your local grocery stores where they're supplying the Rotella's Italian Bakery bread. Whether it's white, wheat, or whatever, Rotella's Bakery bread is great because of 100 years of tradition.
Planning something fun for your office, family, or friends? Joe's Karting is for you. Take a break. Come to Joe's to race, relax, and recharge. Great for team building. Ditch the speaker and burn some rubber. Trust us, Joe says you'll leave motivated. Joe's Karting race packages range from providing simple stress relief races to the real deal race experience. Check us out at joeskarting.com. Remember, go to Joe's, your place to race.
Are you the kind of person who feels sorry for anyone who works in an office? If you prefer to be outdoors in the sun or the rain or the hot or the cold, then Quality Irrigation would like just 30 seconds of your time. If you have experience with irrigation systems and would love to work with a team that'll make your career more rewarding, Quality Irrigation is the kind of company that'll reward your hard work, smart ideas, and initiative. Visit quality-irrigation.com and click the Careers tab to apply today. Equal Opportunity Employer.
No matter how dark it gets, there's always a sunrise, a warm bed, a warm meal, and hope. Sienna Francis House serves hope to those experiencing homelessness and addiction. Every day, we provide more than 1,000 meals and serve nearly 500 guests in our emergency shelter, Miracles Recovery Program, and supportive housing apartments, and help our guests navigate a path to permanent housing. Learn more at siennafrancis.org.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Hi, this is Garen Armstrong with Shamrock Roofing and Construction. That small roofing company my father started 45 years ago has now become one of the largest roofing companies in America by following one rule, the golden rule. No one can install a better roof at a better price, a better warranty than Shamrock Roofing and Construction. Let our local family serve your family. Shamrock Roofing and Construction. Call today or visit us online at shamrockroofer.com.
There are 31 days in March, and you can save $31 per month every month at GenesisHealthClubs.com. If you don't get started on your fitness goals today, then when? Tomorrow? Next week? Next month? Next year? Life's too short for that. Genesis Health Clubs is here all month, giving you 31 reasons to get started towards your summer fitness goals now, not later.
Reason number 1.
Abs like to sleep in. You have to start waking them up now if you want them to show themselves in the summer.
Reason number 2.
The safest, most sustainable weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds per week. The earlier you start, the farther you'll go.
Reason number 3.
If it is to be, it is up to me.
Reason number 4.
Results may take time, but you'll get blasted with endorphins and feel better today.
Reason number 5.
Because your health is worth it. 31 days in March, 31 reasons to get started today, and $31 to save every month when you get started at Genesis Health Clubs. Whatever your reason, go to GenesisHealthClubs.com today to get started.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
So it's going to be chilly today. Nebraska baseball has their home opener against Northern Colorado, member of the Summit League.
A tradition like no other.
Yeah.
Nebraska baseball versus Northern Colorado on a Tuesday.
First pitch, 42 degrees.
Hey,
that's a dry heat.
That meets the real field temperature.
Yeah. Maybe 39 by the ninth inning.
Yeah, you're fine.
Nebraska is home. They play 14 of the next 15 inside the borders.
Tomorrow's probably a little bit more in question.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to play tomorrow.
Today's probably the warmest day of the rest of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So UNC is not very good. They got beat last weekend 30-1 and 32-7. And Nebraska needs to rack up midweek games. Last year they were only 6-3 in midweek, and they'll help the depth of their pitching. Garrett Englund with a hamstring sounds like he's going to be out for an extended period of time.
That's not good.
But Mike Anderson is back today.
Mm-hmm.
Coach A. And he'll get to come back a couple of times because Northern Colorado is a member of the Summit for baseball. So we'll get to see Coach A, who's back at his alma mater. Imagine the reaction will be okay. Just, it's hard to believe that, he hadn't been here for that long. I mean, he got fired the last year of the Big 12, 2011?
Right. Yep.
what could have been the start, taking over for Dave Van Horn, a win in the College World Series, and then not being able to go to the conference tournament in your last 3 years.
Mm-hmm. And, when you say what could have been, I always wonder, this is not fair to Mike Anderson, because what are you going to do, turn down the job? But I always wondered if Bill Byrne had said, Rob Childers, you're the guy, not Mike Anderson. And I know I'm not alone in thinking that, but would there have been more sustained success even in the entirety of the Big 12 as Nebraska transitioned into the Big 10? It's one of the greatest what ifs. What if Texas A&M came calling at some point with Rob Childers being the head coach of Nebraska? Would he have left and taken that? I mean, those are all questions. Those are all the what ifs. And I know Will even kind of made mention of seeing Mike Anderson. When he sees Mike Anderson in town, he said it's going to be weird because he has been a coaching mentor. He was his hitting coach for a while as well. And it is kind of interesting when you're at more of the Power 5 level, coaching gig, and you're going up against a guy who was here at one point, who coached in, the pinnacle of the game in the College World Series, and is now, with a struggling mid-major baseball program.
The Rob Childers, Mike Anderson, there's Curtis Ledbetter, there's other connections.
Yeah.
And then you have Will Bolt all being together today. That's like the height of Nebraska baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, Led. Absolutely.
Mike Anderson or Frank Solich? Tougher job to maintain.
Ooh, that's a great question.
Chew on that. We'll finish. We'll finish that up in the next hour. Maybe we'll continue tomorrow. Tougher job to maintain. Mike Anderson taking over for Dave Van Horn, and Frank Solich taking over for Tom Osborne. Brian Christopherson's coming next.
More with Gary and Nick after this on 1620 The Zone. Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Zoom Drain Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect a bit of slowdown along Golden Boulevard, eastbound along Highway 370. Then on L Street, be prepared for a significant delay from 96 to 90th. And on Dodge, looks like things are slowing down just a little bit from 80th to 72nd, heading westbound. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time, Saving Traffic was brought to you by Lus Hills Harley Davidson.
Riding season is here, and it's time to trade in and trade up. Or, if you ain't riding it, Lus Hills Harley Davidson is buying it. Sell your Harley Davidson today. Lus Hills Harley Davidson. Rise up and ride on.
Say goodbye to ordinary home shows. The Omaha Lifestyle and Home Expo features smart technology and thousands of dollars in giveaways like gas fireplaces, pellet smoker, and electronics. Lots of activities for the kids, including a St. Patrick's Day treasure hunt. Plus, catch all the NCAA tournament action in the new Expo Lounge. Free admission for veterans and active military. Made available by Rotor Mortuaries. Discover the latest in home design and technology at the Omaha Lifestyle and Home Expo. March 17th through 19th at the CHI Health Center. Presented by Cox Communications.
Research shows listeners prefer a personalized experience. So to help you remember, Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance. We personalized this ad for Amber, who really misses boy bands from the 90s.
Hey girl, I'm the cute one, here to tell you how Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I'm the heartthrob. The only thing I love more than you is saving. And I'm the other boy in the band everyone forgot about.
Just happy to be here. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty. No matter how dark it gets, there's always a sunrise, a warm bed, a warm meal, and hope. Sienna Francis House serves hope to those experiencing homelessness and addiction. Every day, we provide more than 1,000 meals and serve nearly 500 guests in our emergency shelter, Miracles Recovery Program, and supportive housing apartments, and help our guests navigate a path to permanent housing. Learn more at siennafrancis.org.
Doctors Bimbo and Vince Petro provide quality and caring dentistry for your whole family in a friendly, relaxed environment where new patients are always welcome. Look no further than Doctors Bimbo and Vince Petro. For more information or to make an appointment, call today, 402-397-4505. Doctors Bimbo and Vince Petro, located at the northwest corner of 144th and Dodge. Former basketball and baseball players, Creighton alums, and all-around sports fans, Doctors Bimbo and Vince Petro are proud supporters of Creighton University and college athletics.
Here's this week's Maverick Minute. The Omaha Maverick men's basketball team fell to South Dakota State in the quarterfinal round of the Summit League Men's Basketball Championship last Saturday night, ending the Omaha men's season. Maverick hockey dropped their regular season finale to North Dakota, losing both Friday and Saturday. The Mavs and Fighting Hawks meet again this weekend at Baxter Arena in the opening round of the NCHC playoffs. And that's your Maverick Minute on your home for the Mavs. News Talk 1290, 1180 The Zone, and 1620 The Zone.
Tickets for less. Best seats, best prices, no per-ticket fees. Ticketsforless.com. KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620 The Zone. Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Practice.
Alan Iverson on line one. Brian Christopherson is on the hotline from Husker 24/7. Good morning.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good. We're talking about practice. He got pretty passionate about what they do on non-game days. And I think he also made a nice little add-on that it's the quality of like contact during practice, that it's not just a bloodbath, but it's a good, like thorough practice. Do you have an inkling if we'll have any eyeballs on practice this spring? Because now I'm really intrigued on how he puts his practice together.
I'm not sure yet. The one thing I like so far, though, kind of connected to that, is I feel like you'd have to say Matt Rule understands how linked this fan base is to that football program, and what that people want to know about what's going on and have answers for certain things. And I would say to this point, he's been pretty transparent about, the issues that have popped up so far. I mean, like even guys who have left their roster, they change that roster daily or whenever it happens. And so to your question, he has sort of, I think, you've had a good view through the window, through clips on social media, through the stuff that pops up on the website. This is what we're doing personnel-wise, through the head coach having been available to the media, I think in like 3 or 4 of these settings now, sort of like yesterday, where he speaks on a variety of topics. So I don't know if we'll have that sort of access or not. And I just know that to this point, you have to say he's really given an opportunity to see what's going on. And I appreciate that, of course, from the business we're in. But I think this fan base does too, because I think they feel like they're a part of it, and they always want to be a part of the mission, even kind of leading up to a season.
He's just so meticulous with what he says, Brian. Yesterday, listening, it was a question simply about, is this a time of the year that you can sort of find out who really loves football and who doesn't? And as he was getting ready to answer that question, he was also quick to say, I'm always careful about labeling kids of loving football and not loving football, because you might have something else going on where maybe your passion doesn't come out as much as maybe the next guy. And then he went on to answer the question. Just so many different examples yesterday of what I thought was a line of questioning that we probably get in these settings, where he seems to put a lot of thought in. I don't know if he anticipates it or what. What were some of your kind of major takeaways from just that interaction yesterday, from explaining the offseason, program, the winter program, to, again, getting into practice and everything in between?
No, we can start with the answer that you're talking about there. He knows things are complicated sometimes beyond, with a player. There's things going on in everybody's lives. You have 110 guys, whatever it is over there. and one year somebody might have some family issues or something that's going on behind the scenes, or some difficulty that we don't know about, and that is obviously going to change what's going on with them as an athlete and a student and all that sort of stuff. And he's been at a place in Temple where he saw a lot of guys evolve, through their careers and have points where maybe it was up in the air a little bit, even in certain cases, like if football was going to be the thing or not. And he has a couple guys I think that are in the NFL that weren't with the roster with him at Temple for a little while, and they came back and stuff really worked out for him. And so when he answered that question, it's a good one to pinpoint because it's one where you could just say sort of a token answer, and he doesn't do that. With questions, it doesn't seem like he does put some real thought into it, and doesn't want to put players in a box. Especially when you're just getting to know your players. Like this is a tough time of transition for them too, and they're figuring things out, and if they belong here, and if they fit, and all that. So you're not going to just make snap judgments right now. But yeah, I thought that was a really good answer to a question where a lot of times the guy would have just sort of blurted out maybe what you're supposed to say. And he knows that I think it's way more layered with each athlete when it comes to that.
How do you think, and Matt Rule talked a little bit about this yesterday about Tony White, and then Chief Borders was there kind of talking about his role. But what do you expect spring to look like on the defensive side of the ball? Because it's still, I get the inkling that they're still teaching the defense to each other, and then we'll start teaching the players.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best of it. You have a staff that's scoring each other a little bit on that side. But I like that he said of Tony White, he's a guy with a lot of humility for what he's done as a coach even. He still is a humble guy who I think wants to take in all the ideas and really have an open platform for conversation about what they're going to do. So I'm sure there is going to be a feeling out process, though, where you're kind of doing that right now behind the scenes, I'm sure, in the meeting rooms. But then you got to take it to the field for a week or two and sort of see certain things and how that fits with this guy. And, we could maybe move this guy over here. And, I think that whole spring is going to be one of movement and probably some fluidity, maybe even in some positions, I would say, where there's some hybrid type players where you could consider in other spots, and they'll have to think about that. Chief Borders is one of those like flexible guys when you look at his frame and stuff, where he could probably do a lot of different things. And then I think you guys might have caught it too. I mean, he said we got a lot of defensive backs. I mean, he just flat out
They do.
and there is like you go through the numbers, and there's just a ton of guys, guys like that you kind of forget about that popped up as transfers and stuff that you got excited. You got your Kane Williams type guys, and you got Kobe Brett was, a big recruit locally and stuff. And you could go through Jaleel Martin is the guy I was thinking about the other day. I mean, there's all these different names where they could get kind of lost because there's so many of them. So I think you got to kind of figure out, okay, beyond the top 4 or 5, especially in the secondary, which are returning, although probably the most juiciest comment was when he said Mr. I don't know who it is, by the way, but he said Mr. Irrelevant when they were picking up captains as a starter. So everybody's mind is like, who's that guy? But I think on defense, you're looking like, okay, beyond those like 5 or 6 guys that you know a little bit more about in the secondary, there's like this whole second and third tier. Maybe some of those guys can move up to even first tier with this staff, but who belongs and who doesn't, who fits really well, can some of those guys even move up a level? I think all that stuff has to probably be in play.
Sharp and I were talking about this, and Sharp had brought up just a lot of the interactions with Thomas Fidone, leading up to his recruitment and, his time in Nebraska. You hear him talk, and I know, Brian, you've had a chance to talk with him before too. You're probably not necessarily surprised or taken back by his tone, his confidence, but the thing that I did take away is a guy that seems to be, not that he wasn't motivated going in, but seems to have sort of a renewed vigor when it comes to what he's trying to prove with the injury situation. Did you get that vibe from him yesterday?
I mean, he's a very determined guy. I like the story told of, his team won the competition within the team, and he was sort of the captain of that group. But they lost the first week pretty badly, and it was said out loud, Fedone last place. And I like that, didn't sit well. He got with his guys. He's like, that doesn't happen. We got to be at the top, and sure enough, this point system isn't just about workouts or anything. People need to understand that. It's about like community service and being on time and accountability and all those factors, which I think are important to stress this time of year. And he kind of helps schedule that for his group and who's doing what, when, and how we're going to do it. And we're not going to be last again. We're going to be first. And they kind of ran away with the competition. And I think that tells you a little something about his makeup that, he kind of took that by the reins, and that was so important to him. And he was candid about a lot of things. He was honest that, there was a fleeting thought maybe about what do you do? Like, is this the place I stay at Nebraska, or do I look elsewhere? But I think those thoughts were pretty fleeting from the way he put it. And he really has adapted well to this staff in a hurry, it seems. He's obviously still learning his position coach. And he really loves Sean Beckton, it seems, by the way, the words he said about him, which I thought was something to take out of that too. But it was cool to hear that a guy who's really been through the toughest circumstances football wise to start his career is basically in the same place he arrived. Like, I'm going to succeed. You're not going to stop me. You got to admire that.
So there's a lot of things that have been very positive in 100 days of Matt Rule. Like, the getting an availability yesterday. So there's a lot of, like, from the media standpoint, the fan standpoint. But I think I found the first thing that I'm really going to push back on Matt Rule with. And I hope you're in line with me. Do you really believe that Chubba Purdy and Heinrich Harburg are the two of the fastest guys on this roster?
Well, the GPS tracking said it, I believe it. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit like Steve Carell when I drive around from the office, where if it tells me to drive into the lake, I'll drive into the lake. I figure it's right. So if the GPS monitoring is saying that, I'm going to say, well, okay, that must be the way it is. If it says Bryce Benhart is the second fastest guy on the team, I'm like, okay. So that was interesting. I mean, Harburg was kind of a trackster, and Purdy's got some wheels, so. I don't know exactly how that got figured, or if you put him in a 40-yard dash, how it would go, or 100 yards or whatever. But they are fast guys. But I wonder where they would rank in I don't know what the best race is. So let's say you got them on the indoor track for 60 meters or whatever. I don't think they'd be top 5.
Hey,
I don't.
Now let's say that Chubba Purdy is one of the fastest guys. There's another added element to this, BC. That might be one of the most amazing things, because didn't he undergo ankle surgery after he got hurt back in November?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was sort of, wasn't even piecing those two things together, but he's had to come back from. They got some great athletes over there. The thing you'd say, he likes the speed a lot. It seems like it feels like. And he's a guy who really values that on his roster. Of course, everybody says that's captain obvious. Everybody wants speed, but he really, as we've seen in recruiting, goes out of his way to find those track guys who have the numbers, like actually, verified that they've run this on the track. And so it says something that one of his initial impressions, he looks around and he says, yeah, it's a pretty fast group we got here. It sounds like he likes the competitiveness too. It's sort of like, okay, now can you iron out the wrinkles throughout the spring? Because that he said he kind of brought that up about the detailed part and like really honing in on some of those things. You can't let those go missing. And that's why I think their point system was a good idea, to stress that accountability to other guys. Like, I'm not going to let you down. And I also thought it might take a hammer to some clicks, like it wasn't just position group oriented. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to pick my best friends and be around them, because if you did, you might find your team stunk, and you didn't want that, especially in front of a new coach. So you had to kind of get to know different guys and gel with them, maybe outside of your comfort zone. And so as I was thinking about how they ran even that 7-week program of that competition with, the little teams, I thought that's a great idea to, not have like just the O linemen sitting at one table and the quarterbacks over here or whatever. It feels like you really get everybody kind of connected better that way.
Well, and getting guys out to sporting events, it's interesting because, I mean, Matt Rule's been at everything. He mentioned a lot of the different things that he'd been at. They're talking about 20 football players being at a tennis match not too long ago. I mean, when you think of what he's, again, going back to that word accountability, what he's sort of demanding out of his players, I asked this earlier. I asked you the same question. Do you see between that, the competition in the winter conditioning leading into spring, do you see all of that sort of creating a path that this thing as a program, when we talk about the culture and making mention of, one score losses in fourth quarters? I mean, is there a path that you could see, all right, there's a method to this. I could see where this could work and that results could also come favorably for Nebraska?
Yeah. I mean, I think accountability, you got to have it, in those key moments in games. And when can you start building it? Right now. I mean, this is the time where you have to try all those different avenues to build leadership, to build the sort of program where you don't want to let down the guy to your left or right. It's that important to you. And also where it's not a click-based team, and also one that is connected, I think, to the university and the fan base. We've seen teams, even some good Husker teams in recent eras, where there was a little us versus them that would sort of build up sometimes within the football team, and even like the criticisms that came from the fan base and stuff like that. And I think stuff like this is really useful in getting people out in the community, and you feel like you're all in it together, and especially in the athletic department, having that too. Like I saw today, Rhonda Revelle was tweeting at Matt Rule about like it's just a softball photo that could be the photo of the week that has a Husker player in it, and maybe Matt Rule could get some votes on this, and I'm sure he will. It's that sort of thing where like I think the other coaches too sense what's going on here. And this isn't just going to be, football's over here in its own little spot, and they're beyond approach. It's not going to be like that, and he's made that clear. And I think that's probably an important thing at the college level, to have that sort of connectivity, not only within your own roster, but within the athletic department, where you do feel that sort of community with everybody.
We'll get you out on this. How was your Carver Hawkeye experience?
I enjoyed it. They're doing construction over there right now, but I actually thought it was a cool arena. I like those bowl arenas where it just rises up and it's pretty simple. It was one of those environments, though, where early on you could tell before the game there was sort of this confidence. You just know sometimes when you're in an arena, like there's this confidence, like, yeah, you're going to handle business today. From the Hawkeye fans, this isn't going to be much of a problem. Then a little worry. And then when C.J. Wilcher hit that three that made it like a 80-75, a 2.5. That was like finally the moment where you could it was unbelievable. It was like, the panic, the cloud of panic just like over the court was so palpable. And Iowa, I think, kind of got lost in it too. They really didn't have good offensive possessions to finish the game. So heck of a win. I mean, it really increases like that NIT opportunity. Yep. I'm going to head out to Chicago tomorrow, I think, and track these guys, see how long they're going to last, but they got to get that one over Minnesota now. Just don't let that put a bad loss on that resume. And then I think if they do that they should be in the postseason, at least the NIT tournament is what I'm talking about, and that would be quite a feat given everything that's happened.
I agree. Safe travels, Mr. Basketball guy. I mean, you're going to be very familiar on I-80 between here and Chicago, with Iowa City in the middle. Are you going to stop at the world's largest truck stop?
Oh yeah, probably. I mean, that's a given. Usually you want, I don't know. I feel like when you go in there though, you should go in like a hazmat suit or something in there. It feels kind of like I don't know. It feels like you're just begging to catch all sorts.
You
of
can say
things
it
when you go in there, and I'm not really a person who worries too much about that. But when I go in there, I've thought about that, so I'll probably be in and out.
I appreciate it. BC, safe travels. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
You hit the world's largest truck stop there in eastern Iowa.
Do your feet stick to the floor?
You know what? I've never had a bad experience there. I'm just very excited they have an Orange Julius.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big deal.
And they give you free calendars that you can take out, you can paste to the wall.
Have you ever bought clothing from there?
No, but if you go in the back where they have the clothing, they have quite the array of T-shirts. I
Yeah, they
will
do.
say that.
A lot of good slogans on it. A lot of ways to commemorate the trip.
No, I feel like this is a year that's gotten off to a good start. I've been to the world's largest truck stop, and I've been to a Buc-ee's for the first time. Buc-ee's in Denton, Texas.
Denton, you went all the way. They have, or did they just get rid of our Buc-ee's? No longer here.
Oh no,
they're getting taken over by Casey's.
No, not the Buc-ee's around here, but
No, this is a different.
you're talking about
Buc-ee's in the South.
Oh, you're talking about
It's its own world.
That are the mega.
Oh,
stores. So the one in Denton has 120 gas pumps.
Oh, okay.
And it has the world's largest car wash. They have a. I mean,
can you get a subscription?
Anything that you would want. I mean, they have a carving station in there. It's just unbelievable.
Wow.
Beaver nuggets.
But you know what? You can't get Diet Coke in there. Did you know that, Jimmy? You're from that part of the world.
I did not know
because
that.
they have an exclusive deal with Dr. Pepper.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can get Diet Dr. Pepper.
Yeah.
Tastes a lot like regular.
So you're
Dr.
kind of in
Pepper.
Fansville down there. Okay.
The thing.
That's cool.
The Buc-ee's are insane, and they're everywhere. And by the way, they advertise that managers make $120,000
at Buc-ee's.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
I know. Makes you think.
How about that? Okay.
So, radio thing doesn't work out.
Yeah. Migrate down south and get in
You'd have
the
to
fast track of the Buc-ee's management.
You'd have to take a pay
program.
cut, but, managing a Buc-ee's is not bad. All right, Darren DeVries, head basketball coach at Drake, joins us next.
Gary Sharp, Nick Handley, and Jimmy Chavez. Mornings with Sharp and Handley. Weekdays 6 to 10. On 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on The Crossover.
Oh, yeah, you were gone for this.
I didn't start.
He didn't watch our movie club movie because he watched 6 episodes of The Crown on Thursday night.
Who?
Him.
Me.
He hasn't watched Andor, and he's watching The Crown instead of our movie club movie.
Isn't that about the dumb twits over in your...
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Hudson, get back in here. You're our producer now,
This is
too.
disgusting.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley. The Connor Happer Show. Unsportsmanlike conduct. 6A to 6P. 1620. The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Another cloudy and cool day ahead for Tuesday. Breezy at times with east winds gusting 10 to 20 miles per hour. Highs in the low to mid 40s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine on 1620 The Zone.
Guys, let's face it, there is a time when you just need to get out of the house, to have your own place, to be with the guys, or just a quiet, relaxing place for yourself. Well, Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge hears you loud and clear. Settle in. Escape to Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge for an incredible selection, plus premium cocktails, a knowledgeable, friendly staff, state-of-the-art humidor, and incredible lounge. Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off I-680 at 48th Street, next to Covey's.
No matter how dark it gets, there's always a sunrise, a warm bed, a warm meal, and hope. Sienna Francis House serves hope to those experiencing homelessness and addiction. Every day, we provide more than 1,000 meals and serve nearly 500 guests in our emergency shelter, Miracles Recovery Program, and supportive housing apartments, and help our guests navigate a path to permanent housing. Learn more at siennafrancis.org.
The Blue Jay Zone is brought to you by Berry Law. We're in it to win it. For the 8th straight year and 23rd out of the last 25 seasons, the Creighton Blue Jays are a 20-win basketball team.
When we were 6-6, I didn't know that 20 was going to be possible, with 19 games left at the time. But
our guys, they really persevered through that difficult time, and we grew during that time, and it's paid dividends as the season's gone on. And the regular season's over now. It's it's everybody 0-0, and away we go in New York.
Winning comes without a guarantee. Focus, discipline, and extraordinary effort make winning more likely. Sometimes our greatest wins come from major setbacks. Coming back from a serious injury is a win that requires teamwork. At Barry Law, we're in it to win it.
If you have been seriously injured in an accident, call Barry Law today. 402-999-7777.
At Murphy Tractor, we're committed to being your first choice when it comes to your compact and construction equipment needs. Each of our 29 locations has a diverse lineup of new, used, and rental equipment, along with a wide variety of parts inventory and experienced service technicians. Our field service capabilities will keep your machines moving and keep you on time. Let Murphy Tractor's John Deere equipment be your first choice. Give us a call at 855-246-9124 or visit us online at murphytractor.com.
Give your business a whole host of options with Host Coffee. The most impressive selection of office coffee, water options, healthy food options, and vending technologies. Host Coffee, serving you since 72. Be a part of the Host Coffee team today. If you'd like to work for a trusted and loyal family-owned company that understands the needs of working families, Host Coffee has your opportunity. Apply at hostcoffee.net.
Now back to mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
It is championship week, leading into Selection Sunday, as slots in the field of 68 are being gobbled up, including one by Drake at Arch Madness in St. Louis. A big win on Sunday against Bradley. Back in the MVC title game and now back in the NCAA tournament. And the head coach, Darren DeVries, joins us. First of all, congratulations. There was a large following at Oscars that was cheering on you, Tucker, and the Drake Bulldogs.
Well, that sounds wonderful just right there. Some Oscar seats and wings. It's early morning, but we could probably make that happen already.
Hey, how nice, first and foremost, how nice was it to go to St. Louis, and when you look down the bench, Roman Penn and DJ Wilkins were getting ready to come into the game as part of the starting lineup and not sitting in street clothes like they have in the past.
Yeah, we practiced in bubble wrap the whole week. I was so excited to have all the guys there and healthy and not in street clothes. So it was it was an awesome moment for them just to be out there and getting to play together in a conference tournament.
Yeah, and when you, Coach, looking at now the waiting game, and I know when you're with Creighton and back in the Missouri Valley Conference days too, there was always that week of kind of letting everything else unfold. What is that like for you? What do you do with the team, and do you pay attention to any of the sort of the bracketology forecasts, if you will?
I think it's the greatest week to ever be a coach. It's once you know you're in, and we get this whole week just to watch all the brackets come out, and you just get to see your name up there each time. You just double check, make sure it's still up there. But, it's an awesome week. It's the one advantage of when you do win your conference tournament a week ahead of time. It takes all the waiting out of it and the stress of knowing whether you're going to make it or not. Now, if you're on the bubble, it's awful.
Yeah.
Then you watch every game and you're cheering for teams you never even thought you'd be cheering for to win or lose that whole week.
You have people that have followed you. You have an older team. I mean, you have guys that you can rent a car. Okay, when you get 25, you can rent a car. You don't need any special stipulation. You have that experience, and as we mentioned, you're finally healthy. You've had some just freak injuries at the wrong time of the year that have impacted you the last couple of years, but you're going to the NCAA tournament for the second time in 3 years. How much of the experience of guys that were there a couple of years ago and add your son and a couple of other pieces will be so important when you find out on Sunday, okay, this is where we're going, this is where we're playing, and this is how we have to prepare?
Yeah, I hope it plays a part. I mean, experience never guarantees, anything, but it certainly is helpful. I would like the team we're playing to have no experience. That'd be even better. But I do like the fact that we've had guys that have been there. We have an older group. Their experience. they're not going to get rattled by the moment. So that makes it, as a coach, you feel good about that, at least going into it.
I know you get asked this a lot about Tucker and watching his game evolve when you go from, sort of still being green to just the pace and everything with college basketball to, being the player of the year, the most outstanding player in the tournament. When you just watch his game develop and as it's meshed with his team, what has really stood out in that process?
I think the biggest thing is he's really worked hard to continue to add to his game, from maybe as a freshman, more of the catch and shoot to now adding, taking people off the dribble, posting up a little bit, being a distributor. And that's the part of the game I think that's grown the most for him. And I think there's still, plenty of room for him to continue to grow. And he just loves to do it, loves to work at it and challenge himself. And so that part is kind of fun to watch too, as he puts the time into it to continue to get better and better.
I think anybody, especially if they watched on Sunday, the smile you had on your face as your team was able to win a game. And that's a good Bradley team that the week before in Peoria, they beat you and they celebrated. You got to celebrate in St. Louis, but the smile on your face, D-Rock, as your guys got to experience that for the first time of winning the conference championship, and you got to experience it with your son. And I think we've talked about this, and from your time of whether you're in Waukee sitting in the stands as dad or at Elkhorn South, do you get to enjoy what Tucker's doing? Because I think I know you maybe don't want to go all the way and brag. I mean, he's had a heck of a run for 2 years, but do you get to enjoy watching him play as dad, or is it always from a coach's viewpoint?
I think 90% of it is from a coach's viewpoint, but the before and after the games and watching the film and the little moments, the hugs at the end of a game, like the other day, like those are the times where you feel the dad. When we're in it, and playing and competing, it's coach and player for sure. But outside of that, those are the things that you enjoy the most, or especially as a parent to get to share those memories together is pretty special.
Coach, I want to get your thoughts on the Missouri Valley Conference right now, and you've had so many great memories there, both as now a head coach and as an assistant coach over at Creighton too, and remembering what Arch Madness is like. And with a lot of the conference realignment, it looks different, but from a standpoint of bringing a team, getting to that final game, being able to feel that crowd support that you get out of the Des Moines area and all of the Drake fans, is it a conference that you feel like is kind of finding itself again with that basketball identity, or is there still some work to do in your opinion of seeing this conference continue to kind of make those strides and be what it was before?
Yeah, I think the conference has stayed steady. Obviously you lose to Wichita and the Creighton and now recently at Loyola, but it feels like we're always able to replace it, and somebody can make a run. And you have your ups and downs as conferences all across the country, but I feel like it's in a very strong position. We added 3 teams this year that I think are going to continue to help us as we move forward and try to become a multi-bid league on a consistent basis. So now it's just about all the teams going out and performing and getting us to that level.
Hey, how does it work at Drake? I mean, I know you're extremely talented, but you got 5 straight years of 20 or more wins. You play in a really nice arena in the Knapp Center, a really good community in Des Moines. You've been able to build your roster, whether it be recruiting or portal guys. You just yesterday got a commitment from a really good player that'll join you next year. How are you able to make it work at Drake, which had struggled a little bit before you left Creighton to go there?
I just think it's a great situation. It's Des Moines, a beautiful city, and Drake's wonderful university. We have a lot to sell, academic standpoint, facility standpoint, and I think we got fortunate that we had a good group of guys that kind of established it our first year, and then we've been able to add along the way, and guys have really bought into it, and they just enjoy it. I mean, I think we have a team that just enjoys, being a part of what we have going, and love just being out there competing together and challenging themselves to, continue to grow as people and players. So it's been a fun process, and looking forward to, hopefully making a run here in March.
As you guys kind of carry the flag for the conference right now, too, in the constant changing landscape of college hoops and college athletics in general, too, for you between NIL, transfer portal, and being able to balance all of that while trying to maintain the spot at the top of the standings, too, going forward, do you feel like you guys are positioned pretty well to handle all that, to use the transfer portal as you may, and to also stay as competitive as you can with NIL?
Yeah, I do. I feel like you have to be, as the game and the rules of the game change, you have to evolve with it or get left behind. And I feel like our university and our support within the community has been terrific. And we've positioned ourselves with some upgrades and facilities and things as well to give us a chance as we continue to move forward in this changing college landscape to continue to be competitive.
Darren DeVries, head basketball coach at Drake. We'll get you out on this. As people have watched you play, and they're going to get to know more about your team, so the names like Roman Penn, and I've seen you play, so I can rattle these off. But you got Roman Penn, you got Brody, who had a big shot over the weekend, and on, and DJ Wilkins, and, of course, your son. But explain to me, because I think one of the most fascinating guys on your roster, I think really showcases your program. How does a walk-on from Newton, Iowa, and Garrett Sturtz become one of the best players ever at Drake?
I'm going to say I have no idea. He is the most unique player I've ever coached in 25 years of coaching. I mean, he is just terrific. I wish we could take what he does and bottle it up and teach everybody how to do it, but it's just something he's just got. And his ability at 6'3" and probably at 14, 15, vertical jump. It's amazing what he's able to get done from a rebounding instinct standpoint. Absolutely incredible.
I remember him at Newton, and he was a scrawny 6'3" guy. To where he is now, that's great for him.
He still is. He's 6'3", 170. It's just amazing what he's able to do.
Well, hey, congratulations. I'm a big fan of yours and, of course, my connection to Coach Richter and having IO play for you and now remain on your staff. Happy for the Bulldog family, and good luck on Sunday with your opponent and your location, and good luck next week as well, D-Rock.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
That's Darren DeVries, former Creighton assistant, now at Drake in his 5th year. They got things rolling over there, and second time in 3 years they're going to the NCAA tournament. They went as an at-large a couple years ago during the COVID year. And in the play-in game, they beat Wichita State, which was huge. And then they gave USC a great game. And a lot of that core of that team is back this year. And then you add his son, who is the top NBA prospect out of the Missouri Valley Conference.
Yeah.
Now the question is, how long Tucker will stay at Drake?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are wondering how long Darren will stay at Drake. And as he said, he's got a good situation there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can win at Drake. And if you're in a conference, what have I always said? Jimmy was with me during the whole coaching search with Matt Rule, is sometimes the best job you have is your current job.
Yep.
You want to move up and challenge yourself. And he's had plenty of opportunities of people have been interested. But if you like your job and you like who you work for, and you're in a basketball conference, even though it's mid-major, but you have the opportunity to get there as an at-large, then that kind of, you're not always looking around the corner for the next job. And the people in Des Moines are very fortunate to have Darren as long as he's been there. And I mean, they're recruiting really well. They recruit on this side of the river. They're recruiting nationally.
It's a good place.
Yeah,
You said so when you guys went out there beginning of basketball season.
Yeah, they got things rolling. This is a team, when you get your bracket on Sunday night, and I think Drake is around 11, maybe a 12. You don't want to be that 5 or that 6 playing them, because they're going to cause you issues, because they're not built like most mid-major teams. They are built like a Power 6 conference team that not at the top of a conference, but middle of the pack, that's got great size, and they've got guards and experience in the NCAA tournament go a long way. And then, oh, by the way, you have a slasher coming 6'7" off the wing in Tucker DeVries, who, when you need a bucket, he goes and gets you a bucket.
Yeah. And I didn't want to ask him because I'm sure it's so far from his thought process, at least what he's willing to admit. But, you move into that 11 line, where Creighton could find themselves too in a 6 line.
You think about it this year. There is, how much separation actually will there be? between, we always look at the 8 and the 9s, the 7 and the 10s.
Yeah.
But as college basketball has changed with the transfer portal and the one and dones, the 7-10 game isn't as distant. The 6-11 game isn't as distant. We always seem to get a 5 versus 12 upset. And then we look back and we go, man, that probably really wasn't an upset.
No.
So we're not going to get to the days of a 2 and a 15, an Oral Roberts or an FGCU, and you go, that's commonplace.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still a big gap. 1, 2, 3 playing the 14.
Yeah, even a 14-3.
But when you get to the 5 versus 12s and the 6 versus 11s, there's not a ton of separation, and especially, but this year, I mean, guys think there'll be more upsets, or will there be more chalk, considering that there is a lot of parity and there's no really outside of 5 teams where you go, that team's going to win the national championship, or that team will be playing on the second weekend.
Well, on Friday, that's what Kevin told us. It's just setting up to be chalk because of that.
Yeah.
He goes, it's parity, everything's wide open, and then you end up with 4-1s. Like, hey, wait a minute.
And I feel like you get a little bit of the thinning of the herd in that first round, where you're going to see a couple of upsets. You're going to, and the 12-5 is always a popular one. In fact, I would love to go back in the last 10 years and see how many 12-5s have we seen where the 12 is won? Because I feel like that's at least you're probably hitting half of those on average. And now 11-6, I don't think it is such a stretch where you're looking at that 11 seed as, so far beneath that 6 seed that they're going up against. So I don't even consider those major upsets anymore. When I think of major upsets in college basketball at the NCAA tournament, I'm thinking basically 13 seed and lower. Hell, maybe even 14 seed and lower now at this point, because it does become commonplace. But there is always, and we've seen this before, there always seems to be enough of the more traditionally strong programs, even not just the Blue Bloods, but just well-positioned programs, that if they're around in the round of 32 or Sweet 16, that's when you typically see those teams kind of get on a roll a little bit, because whether it's their bench, their depth, or how being battle tested. But that first, that Thursday and Friday, that's why we love it, because it's no holds barred. And it's then the strong programs that remain that you typically do see maybe have a little bit more of the staying power.
So if you're Creighton, you don't want to be a 5 seed. Hey, remain a 6. So what? We're going to run the table and beat UConn because we're better defensively in the Big East tournament, and that might help us to a 5. Just decline it. Say, I just want to be a 6.
Can you guarantee us a 6? We'll take that.
Remember last year, Teddy Allen in New Mexico State beat UConn.
Yep.
It's been 311 days since Iowa's beaten Nebraska in football, men's basketball, volleyball, or baseball.
You're going to bring up the tournament?
Who got beat as a 5 seed last year?
Yep, that would be the Iowa
crushed
Hawkeyes.
my bracket.
Did
the
it?
Spiders from Richmond. Oh, remember that Iowa?
Ooh, I had that one.
Remember that Iowa team?
It was good.
The run they had in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, they were on fire. They won the Big Ten tournament. I thought they're going to do it, and that's the last time I trusted Fran. And Kelly Pfeiffered him. But
did he stare back at you?
But the 12 seed is on a. I mean, it's more commonplace now. We've had 53 since the tournament expanded in 85. We've had 53 12 over a 5 upsets.
That does not surprise me.
Now, we have had at the same time 55 11 over 6s. And we've had 56 of them have been 10 over 7s.
Yeah.
And here's the the 7 seed line is if you're on the 5 seed line, you're in your top 25 team.
Yeah.
7 seed line, you're close. I think that from 5 to 6 to 7, the gap is closing.
Yeah, I feel like when filling out a bracket and you're looking for an upset, I feel like when you get to the 13-4, that's where you're kind of, all right, I'm going to be a little bit, I'm going to show some cojones here.
I mean, Creighton has one of those 12 over 5s.
Mm-hmm.
When they beat Florida, they were a 12 seed, no 2.
Mm-hmm. It's anymore, it's more commonplace. And I think as we've gotten a little bit away from the dominant or the real top-heavy college basketball field, where it's not like 2, 3, or 4 teams, and then it's just everyone else, good luck, where there's a little bit more of parity or a little more logjam between, say, teams 10 through 40. It lends itself to 12s and 11s having more than just a puncher's chance because it's March. But looking at their roster where you could say maybe a point or two when it comes down to the Vegas odds that might separate them.
So this is from Whopper, Junior Whopper. He 12 seeds, 17 and 23 in the past 10 tournaments. So as of right now, on a bracket that I just pulled up, Iowa State, Charleston, TCU, Oral Roberts, St. Mary's, Toledo, Miami, Drake. Miami, Drake would be a fantastic in-depth matchup.
Yeah, I saw that one on the CBS Sports one too.
Oral Roberts needs to win tonight. If not, they will draw the ire of Nebraska fans because they might be an NIT.
You're be a bid stealer.
And that's how you tie it all back together.
You're going to bust my NIT bracket.
Back for a final segment after this.
Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com with Gary Sharp and Nick Handley. Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620 The Zone.
Hey everyone, Josh Peterson here for my friends at Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis. Free golf workshops coming up throughout the month of March, and you can get signed up today at miraclehillgolf.com. Thursday, March the 9th at 6 p.m., Saturday, March 11th at 9:30 a.m., and Monday, March 13th at 6 p.m. Find out the pathway to lower your score and enjoy golf more than you have before. MiracleHillGolf.com. They're located just north of Dodge on 120th Street. Miracle Hill Golf and Tennis.
Hey, y'all, this is your girl, Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
Research shows listeners prefer a personalized experience. So to help you remember, Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance. We personalize this ad for Amber, who really misses boy bands from the 90s.
Hey girl, I'm the cute one, here to tell you how Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I'm the heartthrob. The only thing I love more than you is saving. And I'm the other boy in the band everyone forgot about.
Just happy to be here. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Say goodbye to ordinary home shows. The Omaha Lifestyle and Home Expo features smart technology and thousands of dollars in giveaways like gas fireplaces, pellet smoker, and electronics. Lots of activities for the kids, including a St. Patrick's Day treasure hunt. Plus, catch all the NCAA tournament action in the new Expo Lounge. Free admission for veterans and active military. Made available by Rotor Mortuaries. Discover the latest in home design and technology at the Omaha Lifestyle and Home Expo. March 17th through 19th at the CHI Health Center. Presented by Cox Communications.
Leach Camper Sales and Council Plus get extended sports show deals, plus a blowout sale on all select 2022 models, and you don't make a payment for a year. Our new 23s with payments as low as $150 with approved credit. Visit leachcamper.com.
And don't forget, coffee's always on.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Now back to Mornings with Sharp and Handley on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, you can bet on the NBA on TNT with the No Sweat Same Game Parlay with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. Every Thursday night, you're going to get bonus bets back If your same-game parlay doesn't hit, NBA same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payday.
Yeah, same-game parlays, even player performance doubles, lots of ways to take in the NBA action and on TNT. And however you want to play, you can bet the NBA on TNT every Thursday night with a no-sweat same-game parlay. Go to FanDuel.com/zone. That's FanDuel.com/zone to learn more and download FanDuel today to get in on the action. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 and plus and present in Iowa, 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required, refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus. Bets with it expires 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
All right, little love here. Bob into the Equitable Bank inbox about Buc-ee's. I'm telling you, it's a game changer.
I feel like I'm really missing out on this Buc-ee's thing.
Oh, yeah.
Bob says, morning, Gary. Good morning, Bob. Bob, big cross-county guy. Son lives in Orlando, and when I see Orlando is in between. They got a Wawa, and they got a Buc-ee's.
I've heard about Wawa.
The heck is a Wawa?
Wawa's a big deal.
Wawa, big deal. Have you heard of Sheetz?
Yes, I have heard of Sheetz, yes.
Okay, so Sheetz
yes,
is
Sheetz.
Pittsburgh area.
Yeah.
When I lived in Wheeling, people were like, "Oh, we're going to dinner at a convenience store," and I was like, "What am I doing in West Virginia? What am I doing?" And we went to Sheetz, and I was like, "Game changer."
Bought a burger in Morgantown at Sheetz.
But Wawas are
okay.
They started in Philadelphia and moved down the eastern seaboard, and they're all over Florida. When I drive, I visit him when we drive down towards Daytona and take in the Buc-ee's. I love the barbecue beef sandwiches. I've never been to one until last May. It's a mega. It's a life-changing experience, Nick.
You guys have gone to Rudy's, right? It's like barbecue also in a gas station.
Yes.
Okay. I did experience that
So
in
is
Waco.
Oklahoma Joe's.
Mark says,
Is Oklahoma Joe's in?
The original.
Buc-ee's is amazing. Hard to describe to people who have not been there. Have been to one in Texas. New. I got a good high school program. I butcher the last name. Braunfels.
Oh, New Braunfels.
New Braunfels. Thank you. 120 gas pumps and 25 e-charging stations.
Wow. Monster.
2 specific points. Last time I was there, July of 22, they had an entire Yellowstone clothing section. Women's, men's, and kids. My Texas buddy gave me a Buc-ee's beaver bobblehead for Christmas. My wife was thrilled.
Wow.
It's
It's
amazing.
Where's the what's the first state that I would run into a Buc-ee's if I migrate
Texas.
down south? Texas? Okay.
I don't
Are
think
they in
made it
Oklahoma?
up. I don't think they made it up to Oklahoma. There's
Okay.
been talk about it. There's been talk about putting one in Missouri.
Okay.
I don't want to go to Missouri.
Would it be in southern Missouri? Would it be where we go from Missouri to Missouri?
Yeah.
Okay. So it'd be more in the Missouri area.
Well, yeah,
Not Missouri.
Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas. I mean, they're
Okay.
all over Texas.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
can't-
Texas is
you
home
can't miss
base.
them.
Okay. I'll have to check it out. I think I even just saw Mitch Sherman tweet about this like within the last 48
That's
hours.
correct. He was he's on the road doing something for the Athletic, and he was going into the Buc-ee's
Yeah.
for the first time. He said he only spent 20 minutes there.
Yeah, he said he was missing out too. He'd never been there. So now I don't feel so bad. But yeah.
They've gotten so much bigger since I left there. Now this over 20 years ago, but yeah, it's like a whole different deal now.
Yeah, 'cause
Life
at first
changing.
when you guys brought up Buc-ee's and you're referring to a gas station, I'm like, what's the big deal about Buc-ee's? We had him here.
I was there 7 in the morning, and they had the carving station going, hot and heavy. It was busy.
Was it like a brunch?
No.
The carving station. Did you have eggs with it? Did you see anybody with ketchup?
No, I was
on the
not.
eggs?
I was not interested in eating meat that early in the morning. I saved my meat for later in the day.
Yeah, I heard about this ketchup thing, by the way. I wondered if that's where you were going with
Would
that.
you not do? Are you not a steak and eggs fan?
Well, I wasn't gonna get like a brisket sandwich.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you're gonna do like something on a bagel or a McMuffin or something like that. but
Okay.
I wasn't loading up on.
You weren't going heavy.
A couple of pounds of brisket.
I got you.
At 7 in the morning.
That's understandable.
I would have been done by about 8:30.
Yeah.
I had to work that day.
By the way, 2 people after we got done with the crossover said they have and enjoy ketchup on eggs. I unfollowed them.
I have friends back home that do it, and I was like, no, I don't care. I don't care how you spin it to me. No.
So sometimes we make mistakes in life.
Mhm.
It's how we correct them.
Yeah.
Just introduce them to some hot sauce.
Yeah, or salsa.
Crossover is coming up next. Good show. Doug Woodard, Bellevue West. The Boys State basketball tournament starts tomorrow. We'll have more on that when we join you for a midweek edition. Also, we'll have an update on Dylan Raiola tomorrow. Nobody from the Raiola family, but you'll be interested in our update tomorrow. That's coming up on a Wednesday edition of Mornings with Sharp and Handley. For Nick, for Jimmy, I'm Gary. The crossover is next.
Live from the host